Hello, everyone. Welcome, Arvanauts, and welcome, Speculate listeners. Welcome to a special Speculate Twitch event. This is Blades in the Dark, set in the Rook and Rose series, the Rook and Rose world, with one Michael R. Underwood as your GM. I am your host, Arvin Elleron, and of course, people on Speculate know me as Gregory Wilson, which is my real name. But I hope everyone is looking forward to what I think is going to be a really fun one-shot of Blades in the Dark. As Speculate listeners will know, we have been doing a regular Blades in the Dark session with the Strange Friends crew, with our co-host Brandon O'Brien as the GM for that intrepid group. But this is something which Mike had been interested in doing for a while, and certainly we were looking for more of these kinds of one-shots and things like that to do. And so I'm excited to be able to have a group of people that we have not actually had on the channel before as part of this experience. So before we go any further with that, I will just say very quickly for the folks who are watching on Twitch, if you like what you see in here, please make sure to follow this channel. Please check out our YouTube as well, !ArvTube. There is a Speculate playlist on the YouTube channel over there, so you can see past joint Twitch Speculate events that we've had. You can also check out !Arv tweets for my Twitter, !Arv Cord for the Discord for this channel, and the website for this is arvinelleron.com. And on the financial side, I'll go through that quickly because that's not really the focus of what we're doing today, but !Arvtreon is the Patreon for this channel. !Arv Shop is merchandise for this channel that you can get as well. You can also subscribe to the channel, which has custom sub badges and emotes and all that kind of good stuff. And of course, on the publishing side, Athos Arts with my Icarus graphic novel. More details about those coming soon. That's !Icarus. Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. Would love you all to check that out as well. And Grayshade KS is a new Grayshade Kickstarter for my Grey Assassin trilogy world with board games and tabletop and novels and all that kind of good stuff. And that is all going to be happening also next month in about 3 weeks or so. So you can check that out. And last but certainly not least, on this channel, BLM, Black Lives Matter, continues to be important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, and Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Extremely important that we reach out to others that may need help and also reach out to others when we need help as well. And last, for the purposes of this particular joint event, Speculate. I do want everybody to check that out if you can. Thank you very much, Rob, for the host. I appreciate that. I want you to check that out if you can, because Speculate will get you over to the Speculate podcast, which is an actual play podcast now in its, I believe, 11th, maybe 12th, 11th year of production, which currently has myself as a co-host along with Mike Underwood and Brandon O'Brien. We have at the moment not only Blades in the Dark, but also a Rebel Crown campaign going, in which I actually am a player and not a GM. And then, as I say, we will have occasional one-shot events of this sort as well. So welcome everybody to the channel, and welcome everybody to this particular show. And having said all of that cool stuff, it is now time for me to introduce these wonderful people. And so I'm going to unmute myself so that they know that we're ready to go. And I again apologize in advance if I interrupted any of them. I'm sure it was as interesting conversation-wise as it was before we got started. And then I'm going to shift over to reveal if I've done all this correctly. I almost have, although I note that people may have switched around a little bit. So I'm going to have to make some changes. These don't adjust your television sets. These are not the people that they should be. I will get this fixed. In the meantime, I'm going to hand things over to Mike. I'll get your window fixed first, Mike. I'm going to hand things back over to Mike to move us forward and introduce the players for today's game. So Mike, take it away.
Hey everybody, Mike here. Most of you who are watching, who are Arvin Elleron viewers, will recognize me from other Speculate activities like the Curse of the Cindered Seal. I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate, the podcast that Arv does along with Brandon O'Brien, our third co-host. And I'm really excited today to be GMing a special one-shot set in the world of M.A. Carrick's Rook and Rose trilogy. This is an epic fantasy series. The first book is The Mask of Mirrors. M.A. Carrick were generous enough to send this to me because M.A. Carrick is the disastrous, wonderful collaboration between two dear friends of mine who should have been stopped, but it's too late. The book is here and it's very good. So I pitched them on running a game using Blades in the setting probably most of 6 months ago now. And it's really fun to get to host them here. And so I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to do a little bit for what the setting is like, because if you're familiar with Duskwall in Blades in the Dark, this is pretty different in some big ways, and then we're going to lay the groundwork and dive into play. So if I can ask the M and the A of M.A. Carrick to introduce themselves. Marie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm Marie Brennan. I am the M half of M.A. Carrick. I'm mostly known as the author of the memoirs of Lady Trent, but for the purposes of this, obviously, The Mask of Mirrors and the Rook and Rose trilogy are the key bits. I mean, I've got history with all of the people here because Alyssa is my co-author. Mike I have known since his college days. Emily also since I was in graduate school at the time, so goes back to the same point. And then Kyle, our last player, is my husband. So I'm kind of gaming with a bunch of friends here, and yet also somehow, this is work, and I'm not sure how I pulled that off.
And hi, I'm Alyssa Helms. I'm the A
Excellent.
half of M.A. Carrick. Sorry, Mike, I jumped the gun. I was ready to go. And on my own, I'm the author of The Adventures of Mr. Mystic, which is also based on some gaming that I did with, I think, everybody in this session.
Yeah.
With the possible exception of Mike. No, you were part of it too. I remember, because you had much more 4-color super. Anyways, we were all in that game as well. So yes, I've also known everybody for an age and go way back, both as writing friends and as gaming friends. So yeah.
And we are delighted to be joined by 2 more players. Kyle, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, as I mute and then unmute myself. I'm Kyle Niedzwicki, also known as Mr. Marie Brennan. I have been gaming for longer than I care to actually admit. Yeah, I'm very pleased to be here.
And my name is Emily. I have known all these people. Oh, see, I jumped the gun as well because I am ready to go.
Yeah.
I have known all these people
for
way too long, and I've been gaming since I found my first Redbox D&D.
Yeah, my D&D only goes back to second edition's the skills and options or whatever it was called.
Yeah. No, I'm also a Redbox kid with my brothers.
I have the 2E box with the mounted dude with like the wing hat.
Oh yeah.
But in my very first game, we were playing Al-Qadim, and somehow my character had a dune buggy. I don't remember. I brought that level of genre verisimilitude to my gaming ever since. So we're going to be playing Blades in the Dark, as I said above. Some of the players are new to Blades in the Dark, but not everybody. And so it takes a little bit of time here and there to slow down and be really clear about the rules so that there aren't any questions. And if there are questions, we'll address them and it'll be fine. But what I would love to do now is to ask for Marie and Alyssa to give us just maybe a couple of minute overview of like, what is the setting and what is the city like? And then that'll help us to introduce this crew that we're playing. So just a little bit about the city and like the vibe of the books.
Yeah, so Nadezhra, it is a city kind of at the head or sort of in a river delta. A big long river, the Dejera, that runs from south to north, kind of like the Nile. And the whole river valley is the country of Vrasan, which is sort of made up of these city-states, of which Nadezhra is one. About 200 years ago, Vrasan got overrun by a guy called Caius Safino, who sometimes gets called Caius Rex or the Tyrant. He conquered the whole area and ruled it for a while, but very much like fell victim to his own decadence. And when he eventually died, there was a rebellion that managed to free most of Vrasan from Legante control, because he was from Seste Legante, a country to the north. And so they managed to mostly free Vasan from his control, but the city of Nadezhra remains in the hands of kind of a Leganti elite. So it's a city that has a lot of class and ethnic tensions between the Leganti, who hold most of the power and most of the wealth, and then the Versenians, within a large population of people in the city who are, after 200 years, you've got a lot of mixing going on. So there's a large population of people who their names might be more Leganti or they might be more Versenian, but mostly they're just Nadezhran. Like they identify with the city. And the city, we've got a map up on Roll20, but I don't know if we have a way to share that briefly with people on either the...
It's in the center of the Twitch.
Okay,
channel,
I was
but
not
you can
looking
only
at the
see
Twitch
like
video.
a little bit of it.
Okay, fair enough. So the city, the river actually divides around an island that's called the Old Island. And then to the right is what gets referred to as the upper bank, which is where you get more of the rich people living and the nicer kinds of houses and such. And to the left is the lower bank, which is the more sort of lower class, working class to criminal kinds of areas. Unsurprisingly, the upper bank is more populated by the Leganti and the lower bank more by the Versenians because of the inequalities there. And then the old island in the middle was kind of like the original core of the city. And there are some landmarks, which if they come up, we can describe them, but I don't need to give a whole tour of the city. The one other thing about the setting that I am pretty sure will become relevant to the game is a kind of magic called numinatria, which is based on like sacred geometry and numerology. We've got some cool diagrams of this stuff, which actually we need to add a few to our website. But basically just think neat geometric drawings that depending on the shapes that are used in them will have different effects, and we will be BSing stuff about that as needed through the course of the game.
Awesome. So the setting, I think, is a great fit for the type of play that Blades in the Dark encourages. And so Marie and Alyssa pitched the idea of using a gang that is established in the series called the Oyster Crackers. They take their name from the fact that the kind of the richest of the rich live in a neighborhood called the Pearls. And so we're going to be joining some of the Oyster Crackers as they launch a daring and hopefully not doomed expedition to the Pearls. And so before we get started into fiction, I just want to make sure that all the players know that I want to make you feel safe and is having a good time. So if something comes up that feels like it's going on to a track that we don't want to deal with, or somebody needs to kind of not nope out of a scene and we need to kind of skip forward, you're welcome to just throw up an X on your video, type an X into the private chat that we have in Zoom, or speak up. It's good to repeat safety tools where people can see and hear them because it encourages everyone to utilize these, and I think it makes it a safer and better place to be. So that is that. I think we should introduce our characters really quick and then figure out where we join them as they kind of make the decision to launch this mission. So does anybody want to go first in introducing their character?
I can jump on that. I was the first person to introduce myself. So the character that I am playing is Evrika Premoskaya Koldacek. I'm mostly just going to be calling her Evrika. I am the one person here who I think is planning on trying to do the Versenian accent throughout. So Slavic generally. I apologize that I cannot precisely differentiate between, say, a Polish Slavic accent and a Moscow or a Kiev Russian accent. But, it's a Versenian accent, so it's whatever I make it into, right? She is going to be the hound for people who know Blades in the Dark. So she is a soft-spoken and somewhat inconspicuous woman with a scar cutting through her lips from a run-in with the Vigil. I should have mentioned them. They're basically the police force, and they get called Hawks because their emblem is a hawk. And yes, I'll pass it off to someone else.
I guess I went next, so I will go next. I'm going to be playing Katresko, who is a kind of orphan, kind of sort of raised by the church, but mostly left to his own devices. And his own devices were a whole lot of taking things that he thought were interesting that didn't belong to him. And so eventually he got the boot. And he went out into the streets and made actually a pretty good living for himself as a house burglar, because one of the things he learned in the church is inscription, the magic of numinatria, kind of as a little bit here and there. And so he got really good at disabling the traps that the nobility often keep on their houses and the alarms that they keep on their houses, much of which is magical in nature and numinatrian in nature. So he came to the attention of the oyster crackers because he was actually pretty good at that, and got kind of recruited in so that he wouldn't be competition. One other interesting thing about him, and it actually speaks to something that I really like about our setting, is that it's a queer normative world. And so he is what's known as a sunwise man, which is what we call trans men. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and he goes by Cat, which like every other burglar in the city has gone by at some point or another. So he's not terribly original, but it means that nobody will know it's him.
And I, Kyle, am going to be portraying Sapo the Stop, who's a Versenian fellow who actually had some very well-educated parents who are now sort of out of the picture. We're keeping it sort of gray for the moment. And he basically got really frustrated at sort of the class inequalities. So he decided that the best way that he could apply the education that he had gotten from his parents was by stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, which is to say himself. So
We're
yeah.
very altruistic here, I'm sure.
The stop in question, by the way, is from the fact that that it works really well in many contexts. Hey, Sapo, stop the bleeding. Hey, Sapo, stop that cart. So it just kind of stuck over time.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go next. I'll be portraying Villain. She grew up around the outskirts of the sort of the Nadezhdan theater community. After she was orphaned, it seems we have a lot of orphans today. Full up on orphans. And she is a little bit of a shrinking violet, except when she's lying. And she is our slide.
Okay, so one of the things that we do in Blades in the Dark is we elide a lot of the like scheming part of a heist in order to focus more on play. But when a group is going to execute a score, they need to know a few things to begin with. So the thing to know is the target, and then a group will often do some legwork to get information on how to best achieve whatever their goal is. And so in Blades in the Dark, there are what we call approaches. So for everybody who has the book on hand, on page 127, there are the 6 approaches. So as we're working on kind of talking about what the score is and who wants to do what kind of legwork, think about the approaches, because really what you need for a job is a target, an approach, and a detail. And each approach has a detail that goes with it. So that might be for a stealth plan, the detail is the point of infiltration. Whereas with a social plan, the detail is a social connection that you're exploiting. So the target that I have in mind for this, for the sortie, is the manor of House Semendis. And House Semendis hold the seat for basically religion and ritual and numinatria, and a ritual called the Great Passage. So they're like kind of the churchy magic house to a certain extent. And what I would ask is there one of you or a contact of one of yours that might have heard something about the treasures that Eret Semendis might have in his manor?
Not me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, everybody at the Coradium talks about it all the time, but it's also the most guarded treasure in Nadezhra, because Semendis is the seat that governs religion and numinatria. Basically, he's like the best inscriptor in the city. So nobody can break in there. It is something that is not Fort Knox of the But yeah,
fact,
it's
the other
it's
way
the
around.
most money in the world.
We would say Fort Knox is the Semendus Manor of.
Yes, Fort Knox is the tremendous manner of.
Right. So how do we propose to get ourselves in there?
So I think probably the thing that sets you on this course is you've heard that House Semendus is throwing a grand ball at their estate, and I think
mean
for
orgy.
our version of this continuity, maybe they don't have people very much, and not at parties of this scale. And so what you see is the opportunity to be among a large number of people who are there when normally a large number of people are not there. What that doesn't do, however, is let you figure out exactly which approach you're going to use to get into the Eretz study, which is where the rumors say the house keeps like their greatest religious treasures and rare numinatria, which would be your target. And landing a score like this would not only set you up as incredible, as thieves of incredible renown, but it would bring in a huge amount of money to the gang, the knot, and your community.
All right, if they are bringing in lots of people. She looks around at various members with sort of a don't think Sapa is going to be the one to do this. That looks to Katresko and Villian of, does one of you... This is more your kind of thing than mine. Do you know someone? The only way I'm getting in there myself is as a servant.
I could pretend to be, I could pretend to be a scholarly person who has a very high class education.
And what do you think is the kind of environment that y'all would be discussing a score in? Do you have like a friendly bar? Is there a like back room, like warehouse room of a restaurant? Kind of what's the vibe as y'all are kind of discussing how you might achieve this score?
I'm going to suggest, because the reason we chose the oyster crackers is they will show up in book 2, but we're not there yet. This is a separate thing. So I think at this point, we're maybe based on the old island. And so we're in some seedy little Ostretta, like tavern type place that, yeah, we've got our corner. In fact, we'll say it's the Laughing Crow, since that's one of the only Ostretta I can think of the name of for right now. So the Laughing Crow, we're in some back corner of it.
And the thing I will say for y'all's benefit, and I'm going to put it into the Roll20 chat, is your crew has underground maps and passkeys in this version of the setting. So you have easy passage through the underground canals, tunnels, and basements of the city. And I've established that the that the House Semendus Manor, if y'all are looking at the map, is here on the upper bank facing the water.
Okay.
So a sewer approach is viable here.
We don't have to walk in the front door if we don't want to, which I certainly don't want to, but that is me.
And that would give us an extra way out, diving over into the...
Although that is a fair point, that perhaps if we walk in the front door, then we can have that as an exit that they are perhaps not as likely to be alerted to. It is always good to have an exit.
I mean, I think with this kind of place, it's kind of a waiting game for... You're sticking around for as long as you can before you accidentally set off something. So I think sneaking in or coming in legit and then sneaking out as quickly as we can through a back door is probably the best approach.
Okay.
So how do we get an invitation?
Scholarly dude?
I know a priestess or two.
Yeah, and so here, generally when you're prepping for a score, one of the things that you're encouraged to do is to go to your contacts, because the contacts can give you a bonus to your engagement roll. And so here we can just declare, hey, here's this person on my contact sheet. Here's how I know them. And we can do short scenes where y'all are doing effectively legwork, gathering information. I think one of the characters has a gathering information ability, and other people may be able to do something like going to contacts, or if you want to get a particular type of thing that isn't already on your sheets, but you'd really like to be able to use here, you might be able to go do something called an acquire asset roll. And so that might be like extra costumes or a legit invitation and like that kind of a thing. So some mix of going to contacts, doing legwork or scouting yourself, and acquire assets. Alyssa, looks like you have a thing.
Well, I was just thinking, so I one of the other kids I grew up with, he joined the Hawks, and I know they always hire extra security at these things. So I bet I could get him to get me in as like a kind of a spare security person. Get me a nice uniform. Look good. Don't you think?
And it's a ball, so they always say +1s, right? So that's 2 of us in the front door, if we can get an invite.
I could probably get at least one invitation, but I don't know how many others I might be able to get.
So I think for mechanics purposes, if the better you roll on going to a contact or something, the more of what you need you'll be able to get. So like a greater success may give extra invitations or extra position or extra information.
Cool.
So Alyssa, do you want to mark a contact and establish who that is, and we can do a quick conversation with them?
Yeah, it's Darmot, the blue coat, on my list of shady friends.
Yeah, we can
I'm not actually probably going to be able to convince him for anything because I have no convincing abilities, but
Well, I think this is something where you can take stress, 2 points of stress, to get a die so that you're not rolling 2 dice and taking the lower.
Yeah, and I see on Katrusco's sheet that he has a dot in consort.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking I would have to do.
Yeah, and consort is consort with connections from your heritage background, friends, or rivals to gain access to resources, information, people, or places. So
we were orphans together.
Right. Consort is going to have the greatest effect here because it is the most dead on to roll with somebody who you have this connection with. Sway would also be appropriate, especially if you're framing it more in terms of you're trying to manipulate this person to get something. All right, so that is, do you want to keep the name Darmot or?
No, because that's really not like.
Yeah, the auto-provided names from Blades of the
Is that
Dark
what that was? I was like,
yeah. I gave Mike a list of names so we can yank one from that.
Dariet would be okay because that's kind of.
All right, if you want to fill that in, and Dariet is he, him?
He, him, yeah.
Okay. And so how would you get in touch with Dariet?
I'd probably kind of lurk outside the area, which is where the Hawks are, but
okay.
Way outside, because I figure Dariet has gotten Cat off on more than one occasion when he's gotten in a little bit of trouble. He's that kind of friend.
Okay, yeah.
So not really the best friend to have. Dariet's the best friend to have. Cat is not the best friend to have.
Right. Yeah, and so that first meeting is far enough in advance of the party that y'all have this time to do legwork. So Alyssa, I think Kat can take some time and wait. And as the sun is setting, Dariet, with the hawk jacket unbuttoned a couple of buttons and like the neck stuff loosened, you managed to intercept him a couple of blocks from the area, and he greets you with a chin nod.
I actually kind of imagine it as he sees me and he starts to walk in another direction.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, Dariet, wait. I guess you didn't see me standing there.
Kat, oh, so good to see you. How is everything?
It's everything.
And I think Lariat has not moved out of traffic yet.
Hey, so are you busy? Can I get you a drink? It looks like you're off duty. You're allowed to drink now, right?
I can spare time for a drink.
Let's get a bottle of Israel together and go sit on a canal where we won't be bothered by people bothering us.
Like Cox.
So how do you?
Like the old days when we used to get bottles of Israel and go sit and drink.
I think, like with a bit of drink and maybe looking over the water, is there something that you're able to, some memory or something else that you're calling out as part of like making a reaffirming your connection with Darian?
So I actually think there was like the old days when they would, steal like the kind of dregs of the bottles that the kind of richer people who were living and serving in the Quaratium, which is the temple they both grew up in. They would kind of like leftover, dregs of bottles of wine and dregs of bottles as well, and we would kind of mix it all together into this alcoholic monstrosity that we would then go and sit on this one particular place, kind of like under a bridge abutment or something like that, and in one of the canals that go out into the river, and like skip rocks.
Right.
And so we start, we're doing that, we're drinking, we're skipping rocks, we're getting however many. Dariad is probably much better than Kat, but Kat keeps saying like, oh, I let you get that one. I let you get more than that. I've never beat you in my entire life.
I think Dariat says, like, after a round of skipping rocks and a swig from the Zrel, it's like, make fun all you want, but sometimes just this, it doesn't taste as good. Because it tastes better, it doesn't taste as good.
Like, it doesn't taste right.
Yes. Now, am I going to ask someone to throw up in it to make it taste better? No.
Did you have to remind me of that? Look, I didn't realize at the time that the jar had been repurposed.
I could have gone my whole life without knowing what it's like to have someone's stomach pumped. But here I am. I think at this point, I'll let you go ahead and make a roll, and we'll see how, like, kind of make your pitch, and we'll do the roll, and we'll see how much Dariat is able to help you.
Okay, so now with my pitch, this is where the rules get in, and so you're the one who sets the position and the level, correct?
Yeah. So for legwork,
so what am I
rolls,
pitching?
Yeah, legwork rolls are not automatic. Don't automatically take a position, as in they don't automatically create consequences.
Okay.
But I think leaning on a hawk, even if you have some history, may create consequences. So I'm going to say that because Dariat is an old buddy, it's still controlled, which means it'll be really low consequences if things don't go right. But you will need a standard effect to get yourself into the party. If you manage to achieve greater effect through pushing yourself or a crit, or some other ways of increasing your effect, that would give you that would let you get a +1. So to build the roll, by default, you would roll 1 die for your 1 point in consort.
Yeah. Then I can get some bonus. I can get 1 for if I push, and I would take 2 stress for that, correct?
Correct. And because you're going to a friend, I'm going to give you a +1 die here. This applies in downtime, and I'm going to bend the rules a little bit to make it easier. So you'll have 2 dice, And then if you push, you get a third die.
Okay. I think I will push because why not?
Yep.
It's a one shot. Go for it.
So you're going to tick the leftmost 2 boxes of stress on your sheet, and then
Where is stress on my sheet.
Underneath vice / purveyor and above harm.
Up near the top on the left.
Yep.
All right, 2 stress.
Okay.
And then for the roll, what's the position? Or you said the position doesn't.
The position is controlled here.
Controlled.
And the effect is standard.
Standard. And I've got 3 dice.
Correct. So you can click on consort and then set your position and effect, and then select 2 bonus dice.
Oh, 2 bonus dice, not 3
Right.
bonus dice.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
one for the friend and 1 for the push, and then it will automatically calculate that
All right.
1 point for your consort rating. So this should
3.
show up as a 3 die roll.
All right, blowing on my screen. Hey, I got a 6.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's a 5, 2, and a 6. A 6 on any roll is a full success with no consequences, which is really nice. If you get a 4 or 5, you succeed, but then there are consequences, and there's a bunch of different types of consequences. So I think in this situation, they are like the house is bringing in extra security, and Dariet can get you in kind of as bonus security, where the Hawks, when they're freelancing, sometimes bring in other people that they have associations with. And because you didn't get a consequence, this doesn't it doesn't ping anybody's radar yet that you were asking around to get in to do security for this party. Your group starts with 2 coin. And what I'll say is we can use these coin for the legwork stuff. You could spend 1 of these coin to get yourself a +1 because you would increase the effect level. And what that looks like is slipping Dariet a bribe to get somebody else in.
I'm not going to do that. I think we should diversify, and other people should have to roll.
Okay. So you've got 1 person with a legit in. Does anybody else want to?
I was sort of wondering, is Blade set up to, does it have to be that we're all following the same approach here? Or is that something where there can be, because basically with what you had said of we also know about the tunnels and such, that was the direction my thoughts went in, but I don't know if it works for me to set up for our escape, maybe, not so much our entrance.
I would not worry as much about the way out as the way in. I think if
fair.
You're way too ahead there.
how Blades operates in general, I would say it's easiest if everybody is using the same approach.
Okay.
Effectively. So if you're using social connections to get in, we can abstract that to basically be the engagement role determines how much is the rest of the group able to exploit that social connection through this contact.
Got it.
We can abstract it out to that point, or you can do other things. I would say that if you get everybody an invite, that would let you use a social plan, and you'd be in a much better position in terms of the dice that you'd roll. I would encourage people away from being like, okay, you're going to use deception, you're going to use social, and you're going to use infiltration. Got it. Mechanically, that gets harder to do.
Fair.
Would people prefer if I did spend the coin and got a +1?
What I would say is let's wait maybe and see if Mike's okay with this, see what Kyle and Emily have for their thoughts for how to do this, because my character is the one who is the least set up for going in via the social thing, so I might need to ride somebody's coattails. But if Villian manages to get a proper invitation in the front door, I could be somebody's servant.
Right, because a social plan can be X number of people get in using this social thing, and then they're in a position to get everybody else in. And it's still using that social plan, even if other trading by coming in a window or something.
Okay.
The engagement role in the plan is really about that first scene and how it's framed.
Okay.
So you can also do legwork on the target or on people that might be there, as much or as little as you would like.
All right, then I will do legwork on the additional servants that they're going to be hiring for this, because especially since House Semendis doesn't normally throw big balls, then there's going to be a bunch of like, oh crap, we need caterers, we need like, maids and footmen to take care of everybody's cloaks and all of that kind of stuff. And I think I had a thought for who I would approach, but that was when I was thinking more about the sewers and tunnels and such. A lot of those servants are Versenian, so it's clearly going to be somebody Versenian that I know.
Yeah, and you're welcome to just switch out the job descriptor if you want to just replace one of your contacts with a servant.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I have people like an assassin. Like, that's not going to be super helpful here. That's not the approach we're taking. All right, then let's say I know I've got a friend who decided, I guess a little bit like Dariat, to go more the route of I'm going to work at legitimate work. We'll say it's a woman named Senechka. Yeah, so she's basically one of those like servants who gets hired out to different places when these parties happen. Being more the kind of like contract laborer rather than somebody firmly attached to the house. So she's going to know who are the servants being hired, what kinds of things are they being hired for.
And how do you know Senechka?
I'm going to say that since I had decided my vice was faith, which is an odd phrasing, but how I relieve stress is through faith. Yeah, Evrika actually goes somewhat regularly to the lower bank to visit one of the labyrinths there, which is kind of a Versenian temple. And so she knows Senechka through meeting her at the labyrinth, and that they're both fairly devout individuals.
So yeah, I think you can find her there, and when you're both done worshiping, I think you can kind of step across the street, and there's maybe like a little food cart and a big enough crowd and the space to disappear.
Yeah, so I go to the labyrinth and I make some offerings to the faces and the masks are the sort of dualistic deities, where the face is the benevolent part, the mask is the malevolent part. And so I go make some offerings to the one who oversees like law and crime, in kind of normally the law is the face and crime is the mask, but I'm sort of doing may the face not notice me too much and the mask smile on me a little bit here. I go make my offerings and prayers. And then, yes, I catch sight of Senechka as she's leaving, and clearly this is a sign that my prayers have been heard. So I go hurrying after her. Senechka, wait a moment.
I think she turns and says, "Ah."
She says, "I froze up on Zoom." Okay, could you repeat that? You froze up, Mike.
She kind of, okay. She gives like a half smile and says, "Ah, that explains my reading."
So she is a patterner, I take it.
No,
I think she visited one.
I think she got a reading. She says, "I could not understand what it meant that a bright storm would come across my plains."
I am much quieter than a storm.
I would hope so.
There's a stall selling fried honey bread. Would you like some?
Certainly.
We'll wander over, get that, get ourselves covered in grease and honey, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Are you going to be, I heard that House Semendis, of all people, they are going to be inviting over many guests and having a ball?
Yes, it's, they don't know how to do this so well because they're not used to it. And so they don't know what to ask for. It's very profitable.
Profit. I like the sound of that. I don't suppose you need additional hands.
To pad the invoice that we send? Yes.
Then I am happy to be your padding. And I suppose I should make a consort roll here.
Yeah, and so this, I think because of how we've set this up and the fiction, I would like to start at great effect.
Okay.
And so great effect will get you 2 people. If you did something to increase your effect beyond that, that would let you get the 3rd out of the 4. So that might be pushing for effect, some other thing in your gear that might give you bonus effect or an ability, or just pushing for effect. Yeah.
So I've got the scout thing. When you gather info to locate a target, you get +1 effect. I don't know if this would be considered as part of that. Because this is, I mean, like, we're not locating a target, we already know what it is, but.
Right. I think I'm going to be flexible and say that this applies.
Okay.
And the way maybe that applies is that in how you're able to sell who these people are, maybe, and we'll let that ride.
Okay.
So that means you would have two increases in effect would let you get all 3 of the rest of the group in on a success. And you will get a bonus die for going to a contact. So you're going to start at 2 dice.
Okay, so 2 dice. So I'm trying to keep track of all the variables. Is this controlled position?
So this is going to be a fortune roll because it's not as risky to try to get in this way compared to talking to a hawk.
Yeah, fair.
So this would be a fortune roll, and you can roll fortune with a box underneath your friend's area. And for that, you just say how many dice you're rolling, and then you can add a description.
Okay, so 2 dice for this. Okay. Talking to Sinechka. I'm not going to bother with die criticals. I got 2 5s.
So that's going to be enough. I would say that you now have ways of getting all 4 of you into the party. And if you want to do any more legwork, so basically if Kyle or Emily want to do legwork, you won't need to cover the detail. So if you wanted to get more information about who might be there, something about their defenses, other information that you want to have established already to then be able to refer back to. So this can be a place where you can set up flashbacks or something else depending on what you're interested in. But we now have enough to go to an engagement roll if you would like.
I am fine with doing a little bit more setup if you would like.
I was going to say, I think you guys should each have an opportunity to find out something useful.
Okay.
Sure. So I have a priestess on my clever friends list. So I will approach her at one of the temples. Pavlis, my brilliant friend, my wonderful, wonderful friend. How are you today?
And so who is Pavlis and how do you know her?
Pavlis is a priestess that I have interacted with before. I have expounded at great length on various matters cosmological and mundane in the past. And we ended up in several extended arguments, might be too harsh of a word. Yeah, debates on the nature of this world.
Tsapo, your arrival into my day cuts to the heart, the way that your arguments cut to the heart after about 2 drinks.
You wound me, and yet you also are so generous. I have a question.
We all have many questions. Sometimes we have to find our own answers, but maybe I can help.
It's true. But you know how it's been at least 2 or 3 months since I've actually been able to tutor anyone? It's sort of been a bit of a problem, a little bit of a blemish on my reputation.
Yes, I remember that the era said something about an explosion.
Small one, very small. It was contained actually, and the eyebrows grew back for my student.
Well,
eventually.
Yes, it was a couple of months before the Alton could show his face.
It's true. Well, so I heard that House Semendis might be throwing a bit of a ball And if there were any place that someone might be looking for a tutor, it would be at the ball. And I was hoping that you might have maybe overheard someone who might actually be looking for a tutor, who might be looking for students.
Let me think. I think she kind of is basically moving, like, it's like you've seen her do this during like conversations and debates. She kind of has like a mental abacus, or like some kind of, she kind of thinks visually at times. And so she kind of goes over a couple of things. And this, I think, is a place where you can make a roll, and how well you roll will inform the quality of information that you're going to get.
So I think I am going to argue that I have established my credentials with Pavlis as being someone who actually knows what they're talking about, at least some of the time. So I think that it might be reasonable to argue that study would be appropriate in this context.
Yeah, I think a way I might see study applying is that it becomes a bit longer of a conversation, and she goes over a variety of people, and you kind of, you find a way to keep the conversation going, and you're able to, you can analyze the information that you get, and the better you do, the better a lead you'll get out of the data that you accumulate in the conversation. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And then that gives us more framework for, oh yeah, Pavlis mentioned them.
Right. So you'll get a bonus die for going to a contact, and this will also be a fortune roll. So without any other pushes or anything, you would get to do that as a 3-die fortune roll.
Go big or go home. I think I'm going to push for some stress here too.
Okay. Do you want an extra die or increased effect?
I think I'm going to go with increased effect.
Okay.
So the effect then would be great.
Correct. So the baseline of information you get would be better.
Awesome. So great, fortune, bonus die, 1 from being a contact. Yes?
Yep.
Awesome. 1, 6, and 2.
Okay. So on a 6 with great effect, you will get great effect. And so what you get is, excuse me, you get an excellent lead. I'm just going to go through here. And you learn that Simlis Russo, who is a minor noble with some aspirations, and she has a reputation of being very kind and looking out for people, but is looking to kind of advance her academic knowledge beyond elementary, the elementary education that she's been able to acquire already. So kind of looking to, she's trying to get up toward those heights that you're more used to occupying kind of on your own. And so this is great effect because it's a really sensible lead, and it gives you a lot of cover in terms of like trying to go and speak to this person. And I would also give you a follow-up about something else about people who are there, or other information about the party. There are gather information questions on every sheet. So by teamwork, you can see a few examples. These are examples, but they are not all of what you can do. And this is more open-ended. So if you have another question that you think your priest friend may be able to answer for you, then I will have Pavlis answer to the best of her ability.
I think I'm going to go ahead and ask, because obviously we've had extended, conversations about Numenatria and such. How are they going to manage the fact that they have all of those wards up around the house, and yet there's this party going on? I mean, clearly that's going to be a problem, won't it?
You don't want to fry your guests.
Right. So it's very true. And what you hear from Pavlis is that what she's heard is that the Eret and kind of his staff are going to be spending most of the day before and after modifying and then renewing the wards. So they're going to have parts of the estate that would normally have kind of interior warding that is going to be turned off. But the people who come, the guests who come in are going to have to go through a door that where basically, I think you would understand enough of this, where basically there's a ward and they have a way of giving someone temporary permission to move through it without it being actually disrupted, which is very advanced work.
Okay. All right. So we need to go through that door. Check.
Okay. That gives you a bit of extra information about some of the other stuff that's going on. Emily, do you have a legwork approach or idea that you'd like to go for?
I do. And just to confirm, we don't need to worry about invitations anymore, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just double checking. Yeah, I actually would like to reach out to my old friend Cyprian, him, who is a sex worker.
A night piece.
Indeed. Hey, Cyprian.
And how do you know Cyprian?
They were at one point professional colleagues.
Yeah, so I think you might meet Cyprian early in the morning when Cyprian's work is done and many other people's work is just beginning. Would this be like a cafe? Where might you have a chat?
Yeah, I think it probably a cafe. That works.
Okay.
Settling down
Yeah,
as
so I
he's
think
get you a drink to end the night. Or
yeah, and I think yeah, definitely a hot drink. And I think there's some other colleagues of Cyprian's, maybe including some people that that you knew at this cafe that they have an arrangement with kind of the local workers, so that often in the morning you'll see a fair number of folks you know, getting off of work and kind of winding down their day. So this is very friendly territory. And Cyprian kind of greets you with a raised cup and says, winding up or getting going? Winding down or getting going?
A little bit of both at this point, I think. I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends.
Now you have to make sure to take care of yourself, because nobody else.
I think that's the
I
one
can't do
true
everything
thing in
for
the
you.
city. There is something you might be able to do for me, however. So, you know about the party, right? Everybody knows about the party.
Sense?
Sorry, Mike, I apologize, but I lost you for all of that.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got
sorry.
frozen again.
Sorry. Cyprian says, "Oh, the ludicrous party that doesn't make any sense. The fuddy-duddies going wild."
Yes.
Yes, I've certainly heard about it, and not just between bed sheets. Are you going to try and crash?
Oh, I can't imagine I would ever do something. Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm going to try to crash.
Are you going to go in on an elbow or second story?
I think I might actually be working it.
Oh,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Kit, I believe I have a little bit of a sideline set up, but I do have, I'm wondering if you might have heard some things about what's going on.
Oh, I hear lots of things.
I cannot, that's why I'm here. Well, you pointed out the very thing that I would like to know, and which I imagine you might be one of the only people I could go to who'd have this bit of information, but why are they throwing this party?
So what I've heard is that there's a lot of elbow throwing behind the curtains among the Syncarat, and Semendis is feeling threatened. And being more austere most of the time, hasn't put in the face time, hasn't lubricated people's affections in the same way that others have. And this is a big attempt to reverse that. I don't know who it is. Like, is someone edging somebody out? Is some house trying to break in? This, I haven't heard of those whispers, but it's some kind of status seeking, alliance reassuring, coalition building kind of thing.
Well, wealth is only as useful as you make use of it. Everybody wants to spread the land a little.
Well, and then the ones that have the most spread the least.
Well, it's not a problem I have. So I do have to wonder. I mean, they don't throw a lot of parties, but I'm sure that you probably know somebody who's been inside, right? I mean, there's throwing parties and then there's...
They don't have to throw parties to have people over, of course.
Right.
No, I think... Oh yes, there is someone who I've had a few engagements with, who I imagine has been there before.
Excellent, excellent. And so basically from here, she's just trying to get information on the layout.
Okay, yeah. I think you'll be able to get limited information from this contact, but it's better than no information. I would say you could doing something to increase effect. Probably here looks like doing something to give Cyprim cover for divulging more than is kind of as safe to get you up to standard effect. And I would say if you get limited effect, what I'll do is I'll give you some information about the areas that are going to be public, but with standard effect, you'll get some information about the private areas. Does that sound reasonable?
That does sound reasonable. Okay, yeah. So I think that would be in order to give him cover.
So that could be coin. It could be some kind of pitch that you're able to make that convinces him that it's safe to give more information.
I'll say we haven't spent any coin yet, so Emily,
Yeah,
do you want to
can go ahead and do that.
Drop some 4E there?
Okay, I will
mills.
go. I will go ahead and engage in, just some good old-fashioned bribery.
Okay. I think as a like if little, so in Blaze in the Dark, one coin represents a chunk of money, like a size of money that is big enough to do business in the world in the underworld. So it's not literally one coin. It's probably a small bag. And I think Pavlin makes it disappear with speed and ease, and says, "Okay, so if you want the real dish information, in case you need to get away from prying eyes, and here I will let you make the roll to see how good this ends up being in terms of Cyprim's information overlapping with what you're looking for."
So that will be a consort, and I will go ahead and I will push myself.
Great. And so this is also a fortune roll. And you're going to have standard effect. So it can just be a normal fortune roll. You will get the bonus die, but you're pushing for effect. So that would be a 3
Okay.
die.
So did you say 3 dice
Oh,
total?
no, sorry, 4 die. No, 4, sorry, because you paid the coin for the effect. And then you get 2 bonus dice.
All right.
Let's see if the dice are kind. Okay, so that is 6, 5, 1, 3. If you'd gotten 2 6s, then I would have had to figure out yet more information to give you, which would have been pretty fun.
At that point, we have blueprints for the entire house.
Yeah, so I think you get some information. Basically, here are these are the rooms that are going to be the social spaces, and you get some description of like hallways, and like this person went to a bathroom which they knew was here, and you get a more basic sketch of the private areas and a pretty good sense of the public areas, and put you in pretty good stead. You'd be able to kind of replicate and share that information with crew, so that you all as a group have the kind of information in terms of what is going to be where, which may help considering the seeming to take in terms of how you want to get in. Additional legwork from here is going to have a greater risk because everybody has done one roll. It's still possible, but pretty good. So if you're comfortable, we can set up the engagement roll. Hunting companion with Alyssa, who is very welcome.
Like,
my name's Cat.
You should have played the hound, and that is your hunting companion. I mean, I think let's go ahead and just do the engagement roll and get in there. Or there might be benefit to doing more prep, but let's get going.
Grace is ready to go.
Y'all have done a lot of legwork, which is pretty great. So the engagement roll stuff is all on page 128. So I'm just going to walk through those real quick. Everybody, you always get 1 die for sheer luck. And then we ask questions. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? If so, take +1d. Yes. As previously established, House Cementus is very secure because their pneumonatria is without peer in the city. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? I don't think it's that complex because it seems like you're getting inside and then you're going to do thief stuff. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? If so, take +1d. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I think you get 1 and then lose 1 here, because even with the invitation, they do have some special preparations that are going to make things hard in general, because your ability to move around is constrained. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid? You absolutely have already done that. I'm going to say you're going to get +1d for friends and then +1d for all of the rest of the legwork that you've done. So you have 1 +1 for bold, +1 then -1, and then +2 more. I'm going to take 1 die away because they are much higher tier than you, because as one of the houses of the Synchrorat, this is a hard target. And in an engagement role, just trying to do a job against a group that's that much higher tier makes things harder. And so this mechanically represents a lot of other complications.
Yeah.
But 3 dice on an engagement roll is still pretty good. You are looking for a 6 or more than 1 6. If you roll a 1 to 3, you will start the engagement in a desperate position. So I'll frame a scene how things get really, really tricky right away. If you get a 4 or 5, you will start in a risky position, which is kind of standard scoundrel stuff. If you get a 6, you will start in a controlled position, which would probably mean that your covers have worked. If you get a crit, you will start in a controlled position and you will have overcome a first obstacle. So does somebody want to go ahead and give us a 3 die fortune roll for the engagement roll? There is a roll engagement button on the crew sheet if someone wants to use it. It's fine.
I can do that. Oyster crackers. Here we go. Roll engagement. Number of dice, you said 3?
Yes.
All right. Don't blame me if this goes bad.
We're blaming you.
So that's a A 3,
No,
a
that's
5
good, actually.
Yeah,
a 3, a 5, and a 4. So that means we will start in a risky position.
which is standard.
What everybody should do now is select load, and load is just underneath the name of your playbook.
Mhm.
If you have light load, you will only be able to tick 3 boxes worth of gear. I will note here that anything that is in italics does not count. It is 0 load. So that does make things easier. Additionally, your crew has an ability that means you get 2 free load worth of tools or gear. So anything that says gear or tools, you can mark 2 boxes of that per character, and it will not count your load because you have cool thief rigging for being able to carry things and it not being really obvious.
I might go for climbing gear then. Oh, yeah, right. I don't have to specify now.
So
got to reprogram my brain.
I would say that a light load of 3 load would be appropriate for guests. A normal load is probably appropriate for staff or people who are working because they just have the stuff on them. A heavy load would be very conspicuous here, but you would get a 6th load box, and normally you get 5 for the normal load. So which load setting is everybody going to take?
I'm going to
So-
go for normal.
Okay, we
And
have a
we're all
normal.
here for as staff, basically, yes?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so what
And
we
can
have basically 1 person as security and 3 as staff. If you want to mix that up, I think it's fine to extend the roles that you've already made without having to fuss.
And you said, so a light load would be appropriate for guests, but 5 normal load would be appropriate for staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And I had another question. I can't remember what it is. Never mind. Oh, is it possible, can we like drop things along the way? Like if we suddenly decide that I really need a light load instead of a normal load, I'm going to drop a couple of the things that I was carrying and go down to a 3, or is that?
Yes, but depending on what it is, it may create some consequences for you.
Somebody finds all of your climbing gear in the middle of the
Yeah.
hallway and goes, wait
Yeah.
a second.
One way to think about this is there's it shares some play DNA with the Hitman series of video games. And so for everybody from that applies, like if you leave something somewhere that is going to be conspicuous, that may create some challenges for you.
Okay.
But
we can try to hide it or
that's kind of
something
the-
instead.
right.
Yeah,
You know,
we
if
had
you-
a
if
brief
you-
oh, sorry.
If you drop something into the canal, it's not going to be a problem, right?
Right.
That's what canals are for. And we did have a discussion beforehand about abstracting the stuff that we steal as being sort of like points of load. And so we might find ourselves in a position where we're like, I'm going to ditch this thing I was carrying in favor of the shiny.
Right. And so that also means that leaving some load open is really handy. That also gives you the option to like, I'm going to mark armor because my character just got stabbed. While you still have load, you have flexibility, which is really handy.
You said anything that's
Okay.
marked gear or anything that's described as gear does not count towards our load.
No, it's that we get 2
You
points
have-
of that sort of for free.
Okay.
So effectively you can have 7 as long as 2 of those are boxes for things that say gear or tools is another way of thinking about it.
Okay.
And then if something says fine, it has extra quality, which will improve your effect. In a lot of situations, if something is italicized, it does not count as points of load because it's small enough or it's intangible.
Mhm.
So has everybody picked load?
Yeah, I'm going to go with normal.
Okay,
Yep.
Normal.
Normal.
Same.
okay, great. So I think Alyssa Cat probably arrives first because you're there as security.
Yeah.
And
Getting into all of the secret places that security is allowed.
I would say because we're in a risky position, you probably you don't get to start without being observed. So I think your posting is slightly ornamental. You're meant to stand out in a kind of an open air garden where there's going to be a lot of mingling, and you're given kind of, this is what you're supposed to, here's the gear, and here's what you're supposed to say or not say. Like, you can give directions to this bathroom, and you get kind of a briefing, but you are expected to remain in that garden unless you are like going on break or something. So it is going to be, you're going to still be in a risky position, but you belong there as far as the rest of security is concerned.
My important job is I am supposed to keep everybody from walking in the azaleas.
Right. They are lovingly grown and tended to, and
the last time they hosted one of these, the entire azalea patch was like completely decimated.
This is what happens when you invite people from House Extaquium. They get drunk and they trample your azaleas.
Yes.
But yeah, so I would say, do you want to try to make a move before the others show up?
No, I'm going to observe and do my job so that everybody thinks that I am a dependable, reliable person.
Okay.
Which I'm definitely not.
I think then we will skip forward a little bit, and I will note that this does leave room for you to have done something in the with a flashback. And for folks who are watching, I'm just gonna jump over to the map real quick, and I'm gonna ping this unmarked island just north of the label for the Pearls. So these are a bunch of small kind of small islands on the upper bank. This is where the kind of highest high houses have their manors, along with other kind of old members of the nobility of Nadezhra. So this is very much an upper class kind of neighborhood. Most people will have arrived by boat because there is not a kind of a common overland path to get here. There may be temporary bridges here and there. So it's a lot of people coming in by boat, probably a little bit larger boats to stay stable, and being kind of led upstairs to the manor. And the security checkpoint that the rest of you would be going through if you were guests would be at the front. For staff, there is a separate entrance in the back where the Numinatria has been just shut off entirely. Marie, I think your character would probably notice that there are bits that are clearly, this is where all of this goes, but they have been turned off. And the kind of the staff version of this is a lot more chaotic. And you established going in that you're kind of there to be extra so that people can make money, which gives you a little bit of freedom, but you are starting from kind of the servants area, and you are dressed as serving staff. So that's gonna inform your position as you're trying to like move around or do anything else. So I think we're gonna jump in with the three of you, and I think it's probably the kitchen is through a hallway behind you, and it's incredibly noisy. There is a short hall with doors leading to where you are, which is a interior kind of finger food room. So there's just like a long table, a huge amount of food, there's drinks, and it's like a kind of chaotic setup kind of situation. So you can make a move before a lot of the guests arrive, if you like, because you came in as staff. So I would say to y'all, what's your first move in terms of moving from how you've gotten in to what you want to do? You will be rolling in a risky position because of the engagement roll.
Though we do get the benefit for our gang that when we perform group actions, we can combine multiple sixes to get a critical success. So
absolutely,
the more we can kind of coordinate with each other, the better.
Yep.
I would suggest some sort of group survey action to try to figure out where people are, where people aren't, and therefore where the gold might be.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, and as servants, we can kind of do the, oh, I have been told to take this thing over here, or, oh, I am supposed to find this person and convey this message to them. Like, as long as you look busy, people don't ask a whole lot of questions about what you're up to.
Yep. I think survey is going to have greater effect, and it would not compromise your position, because for me, the study survey dichotomy is about time, and survey is much more environmental and situational awareness.
Yeah.
So you might get better information from study, but it would be much more conspicuous.
Yeah.
That's the divide, I would say.
Okay. So should we all roll survey, and it's risky and you said great?
I think you will have great effect because you already had information about the layout and not just the public layout. So you have more of a common language to be able to refer to.
Okay.
And then any bonus dice, or just unless you push?
No extra bonus dice at this point.
Yeah.
So things you can do, you can push to get an extra die or to increase your effect. On a group action, if one person has higher effect, it's a little bit tricky in terms of, does that get to apply or does it not?
Right.
So I would generally point you toward something that gives the whole group increased effect, or just take the dice, because you also have the thing that means that you're more likely to get a crit. And if you crit, you do get bonus extra effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you tick some load, that may put you in a position to increase your effect, or I might give you a bonus die. Other things you can do to get a bonus die in a group action would be to take a devil's favor, which is, I would offer you some consequence that will happen even if you succeed or if you fail. It will be something that is true about the world, but you don't have to take it.
Question regarding items, because the italicized stuff that doesn't count toward load, for the charm that I'm carrying, I had already written it out as being some kind of good luck charm. How does something like that figure into, like, I'm making a prayer to the faces and the masks for something here? Like, does that have an effect? Given that it's something that doesn't take up load, I don't know if that means that it's just more cosmetic or what. I
would say for a charm, the uses that we'll have here is you can select it, and then you'll get a bonus die on one roll, or you could, if you tick it, it will let you get a +1 die on a resistance roll.
Okay.
Because one of the things that happens in Blades is, if you get a consequence, you can then try to resist that consequence.
Right.
And you say, no, that doesn't happen. And the only question is, how much stress does it cost you to get around that consequence? Because you're all thieves. You can see problems coming. It's just a question of how hard it is to like sneak around whatever bad thing is happening.
And so I presume that would be something where I can only do that once in the session or in the score. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to use that here.
I think I'm just going to roll.
And for those of us who don't actually have survey, does it make sense to try to have some slightly different approach for us?
So,
or should we all be on the same page?
A group action, in a group action, everyone has to roll the same action.
Got it.
So if you are not in on the group action, then you could set up a group action by rolling something else maybe, or you can always roll even if you have 0 dice. When you roll 0D, what you're actually rolling is 2 dice, and you're taking the lower of the 2. But if you push, or you get a bonus die some other way, you go from 0 to 1.
This seems like the kind of thing where somebody, like you doing something to basically maybe create a distraction while the rest of us survey would be...
I was going to say, because you could assist, right?
Generally, you can only assist one character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think the better thing to do here would be a setup action, which could be a distraction or something else. And what that would do is, if it succeeds, it would give at least one other character a bonus die on the setup. Or you could set yourself up. So Kyle, your character, maybe if you did a study first, to then set up yourself to do survey would be an option.
Oh, I thought it actually set up, I thought that applied to everybody who was doing the thing that you were setting up for. But I might have misread that.
I don't remember rules as written. Setting up a group action that gives you a pretty huge bonus. So I will.
Yeah,
I
it
will
says
look at that.
any member of the team who follows through on your maneuver gets +1 effect level or improved position for their roll.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, if you want to do a setup, then everybody can get the bonus. Let's go for that.
All right, so strong narrative choices. So I think what I'm going to do is set up for this by actually putting a very slow acting acid on the leg of one of the tables that are off to the side, where people might be putting their glasses, so that at some point, not entirely sure when, it'll cant over and a whole bunch of glass will go just cascading to the ground, which is a distraction for us in the future, so that we can then look around and see where things are.
Okay, so you would be doing this to then happen soon enough that it goes into the survey roll. Is that correct?
That's my goal, yes.
Okay, great. What action would you use to do that?
I believe that would be wreck.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, Tinker or Wreck both seem...
Seems wreck.
Yeah.
There's a cascade of glasses onto the floor is wreck to me.
So wreck is a place, item, or obstacle with savage force or carefully applied sabotage. So this
there we
feels
go.
like sabotage.
And
Plus,
I also have the saboteur special ability, such that my work is much quieter than it should be, and the damage is hidden from casual inspection.
Yep.
So it will be less obvious that somebody did sabotage it.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
So it's still a risky position, but saboteur, I think, I will keep that in mind if you have consequences.
I'm going to go on and click on my fine wrecking tools here.
Yep.
In this case, which I think may give me some benefit.
Yes, that will give you increased effect. And so I think if you succeed with great effect, you're going to give both a bonus die and bonus effect to the team.
Awesome. And again, because this seems like a good place to do it, I will push myself.
Okay, so you'd be rolling with 3 dice and great effect.
Okay, so
in
this
a
is
risky position.
Risky position, great effect, bonus dice 1. All right, here we go. 3, 5, and 4.
Okay.
Or wait, no, I'm sorry.
2,
1, and 4.
Yeah.
My apologies.
So
I succeeded.
A 4, you still do it. But what I think this does is it takes a little bit longer for it to work, because you kind of realize afterward that this house is so rich that even like their dining tables are imbued to be stronger. And so what that is going to do is, I think the consequence I would say is you're not going to get to be in the group survey.
All right.
Because you're going to have to basically baby it. And you're like doing something to like accelerate it, even while other people, like while the idea was in X amount of time, you go and, wander around and do these other things, and you kind of have to babysit it.
Yeah,
so
and I find that when the table finally does keel over, it happens when I am near it. So I am actually stuck cleaning up glassware.
Yeah.
You wrecked yourself.
Yeah. But everybody else will get a bonus die and increased effect.
So we get 2 great effect.
Yep.
All right, and a bonus die.
And yep, so everybody should go ahead and make those rolls, except Kyle, because he is cleaning.
Alyssa got a 6, and Billion got a 4. So
okay, so
we get a 6.
Yep, in a group action, you take the highest die. If you had had 2 6s, your special ability would have given you that crit, but you still get a full success on great effect. And so you are able to plot a path and kind of put the more conceptual description of the layout into practice and connect it with your own ability to see and hear and understand what's going on. And so you have, you understand what you believe to be the clearest path upstairs to the study, but you know that there is at least one armed guard between you and there.
Okay.
So basically the obstacle that is presented is security. which is going to be.
Hey,
Yeah.
I am not affected by quality or tier when I bypass security measures.
Let's see.
I don't know if that applies, but
I'm going to say that it does apply here because it is not written to discuss like physical, like material security in terms of like traps or anything.
Mhm.
So you are a consummate infiltrator, and so you are able to like, oh yeah, it's a highly trained.
I act like
noble
too
guard.
much of an idiot to possibly be somebody who's actually a threat.
Yep. So yeah, you've got. I think because time is passing, guests are coming in. They're being kept out of this room because of the mess. So there's a bit of a fracas there, and there's some, you got a little bit of an opportunity, but there's now more people around. So you're still in a risky position. And what do you do?
So I arranged to get myself taken off Azalea duty in order to help with all the servants who are now in this area and might like try to sneak off and cause problems or try to get into places where they're not allowed, so that I can sneak off and cause problems and get into places where I'm not allowed.
And what is your intent to kind of get out of that open air room? Like how much do you want to get done in one go?
So basically what I'm trying to do is to get myself like replaced in such a way that it doesn't look like I've slipped off duty, but have the kind of freedom to move around as if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but nobody actually remembers anymore what I'm supposed to be doing.
And what action, like what does that look like when this happens? Is this prowl? Is it consort? Is it something else?
Sorry, I'm looking at the descriptions of
Yeah,
each
no
of them.
worries. So like, I think prowl would be more about the stealth part, and consort is maybe more about the people manipulation
I think
part.
consort is how I would get away, and then I would go into prowl mode because I don't actually want anybody to stop me and ask questions. So I'm going to be like, lurky.
Yeah. I think the chaos in the dining room gives you enough position that I would give prowl just a standard effect.
Okay.
But you can increase that effect with items or pushing or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I have my fine imbued shadow coat.
It's true. So what does it look like? What does that look like? And
I feel like I'm going to give myself like a kind of consequence, because if I trade off my guard, my hawk duds, my borrowed hawk duds for a fine imbued shadow coat, somebody might realize that I'm not on duty anymore, but maybe I could kind of sort of, it's fine enough that, I stole it from House Extaquium. So it's this like fancy purple velvet, like I will look like a guest. I will prowl like a guest. My fine imbued shadow coat is dark purple velvet, so it actually does blend.
Yeah, that'll give you great effect up from standard effect, just because the magic on it will just let people's eyes slide off of you.
Yeah. And I'm still risky?
Yes, this will still be risky.
Right, great effect and bonus dice. Do I get anything?
I think you'll get one die, but not the extra effect, because you're still following up on that survey. But because it's a second roll, I'm going to reduce the bonus by a little bit. This is interpolation and interpreting the rules. John Harper, if you're watching, I'm hacking your game. This is a hack.
I mean, isn't that what we do with all games? But
all right, here's my prowl. Oh, well, I sort of kind of.
4 is fine.
Yeah, so a 4 is you will basically you're going to tick 2 of the 4 boxes for the obstacle that is this this guard.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that the consequence is basically you get 2 out of 4, and then you're going to lose 2 out of 4, as I'm going to fill 2 segments of a 4 clock that is alarm. And what I think happens is, even with the shadow cloak, what you didn't know is that the second guard was taking a restroom break, and there were 2 when y'all were making the survey. And so there was somebody in a different down a different hallway that you weren't expecting. You get by the one, but the other one catches a glimpse.
I have a possible solution to that. Mike, on my list of possible gear here, you gave me imbued ammunition. Can it be imbued in the sense of having a sedative on one of my hand crossbow bolts?
If I would say yes, if Kyle ticks one use of bandolier.
You okay with that, Kyle?
I
Cool.
will certainly do so.
All right. So then, since Hunt is attack with precision shooting from a distance, I am going to whip out the hand crossbow and just pop him one with a sedative bolt.
Okay. So because you are kind of following up here, and the Alyssa has already ticked 2. With standard effect, you would take the other guard out and create an opening for the rest of your group to move through.
All right, so risky, and then standard, and I am going to take stress to push so that I get a bonus die.
Yep. And so I would say you would start at limited effect, but because it's fine, you would get back up to standard because these are elite house guards. So just to walk through the steps.
Got it. Okay, so, and then I give myself a bonus die and submit. I get a 5.
Okay. So I think I'm going to describe what happens, and then I'm going to give you all the opportunity to resist a consequence. Because the bolt kind of hits him just outside a bit of armor, so the soporific is able to take effect. But because you were in a risky position and only got a 5, I can inflict a level 2 consequence, which would let me fill the alarm clock. And so the consequence would be that the guard shouts "intruders" at kind of a full voice, and I would then activate extra security. But you can resist this consequence.
I would like to resist this consequence.
Okay, so if you say you resist it, you resist it. And so that part didn't happen. What I would ask you to describe is, in what way did you make it not happen?
My answer would be that, since this is I was following along behind Kat, and, Kat takes out the one guard, but oh shit, the second one appears, so I whip out the hand crossbow and I shoot. And since it's part of the reaction to that action that I was taking, I would say that this is going to be on the insight end of things, that I already jumped forward to try to grab the guy so he wouldn't fall really heavily. And what I do is I clap one hand over his mouth and lower him to the floor. So
that definitely, I think having the insight to have a 3-step plan makes sense to me. So you will resist that consequence. The alarm will stay at 2 of 4. And then what I'll ask you to do, Marie, is to just click on the word insight.
Yep.
And that will load a resistance roll. And
there we go. Okay, so I take only 1 stress.
Yep. When you roll resistance, you roll a number of dice equal to the different number of actions you have in that category at 1 or more. So because Evrika has hunt, study, and survey all at 1 or more, she rolled 3 dice for the resistance. So if you're trying to resist consequences, it is easier for you to do so in categories that you have a lot of different actions in, because you have that versatility.
Might be why I spun my description in that direction.
Absolutely. You saw it coming. So you get your hand over, he does his best, but maybe you get an arm around and you're able to kind of constrict his breath, and he goes down, and there's still already been some disruption, so you're closer to being caught than you might be otherwise. but you are through at this point. And for expedience sake, I'm going to say that this is enough of an opportunity for as many of you to get upstairs to the door of the study as you like.
Buddy.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're all there.
So are we doing anything about the guard's body to get out of the
Yeah,
way?
I think we should try to like tuck them in and out of the way
stash
room.
the bodies.
and also, I think I would like his uniform.
Okay.
Good call.
Yeah. So I will
Are
say
either of them my size?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. It's convenient. So you have one guard's uniform. The other one you just outfoxed, and you were able to shuttle people up without them noticing.
Okay.
Okay, so you can take the guard's uniform because I can make do without.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So you get to, so the study is at the end of a long hall on the 3rd floor. So you kind of made your way up. You're very far away from the party. You can hear it through kind of a stained glass window that I think both Alyssa and Kyle's characters would be able to identify. Like, that has a lot of Numinatrian ward on it, like that window up there. And you turn to the door and you expect the same, but they've been disabled.
Are we not the only ones hitting this place?
Could be a trap.
Or another knot?
It smells like a trap.
And the party is going. Some musicians.
Oh, I was like, what is the party doing?
Just you can still hear the party going outside, but it's distant.
I'm going to ready my a fallback plan. She's going to go ahead and bust out her fancy clothes and find disguise kit and go for the privilege escalation and make herself look like a party guest.
Okay, cool.
And Sapo will kneel down by the door and see if I can disable the lock on the door, or if it even needs to be.
I was going to say, I think Mike had said that it seemed to be
Well, the Numinatria was disabled.
Yeah.
The physical lock is not a challenge. Is not enough of a challenge to make you roll.
Okay.
Because of what y'all have established in terms of your characters. So I think you and Alyssa's character are able to just work through it.
Yeah, I'll let Kyle do that. While he's doing that, I want to survey the kind of the whole setup and situation with the window complicated Numinat that hasn't been touched, and how was the door Numinat disabled, and what might be going on. Like, is there sound that's coming from the study? Sure. Kind of all of that.
There's a gather information question. What's really going on here? Which seems like it applies.
What's really going on here?
I have a suspicion.
If you said survey, I think that would have standard effect here.
Okay. And still risky?
This is just going to be a fortune roll because of where the risk is coming from.
How do I do fortune?
Scroll down.
Oh, roll fortune. There it is.
Yep. So just
number of dice.
Yep. Equal to your action, unless you're pushing for more dice or getting more dice somehow.
Equal to my action. Oh, the level of survey.
Yes.
Okay. Nope.
So on a 1 to 3, you either don't get an answer or you get limited information. But here I'm going to say that I'm going to give limited information, and your gut tells you that somebody else is here doing a job.
Okay. So yeah, somebody got here. Somebody got here before us. So hurry before they get all the treasure.
Do we want to try to race them for it, or do we just leave?
We've already invested money in this. We cannot afford to back out with nothing.
You're right. Okay.
I will help Villian get dressed into the fancy party goer thing because I will
Thank
be
you.
the fancy party goer's servant.
Yeah. All right. So
Doors
somebody
unlocked.
going in?
I think we let Villian
We're
lead the
going
way.
in.
Okay. So Villian, you step in and kind of we, the audience, see.
I was just going to say, she actually just sort of stumbles in because she wants to have the, oh, I got a little tipsy and went in the wrong room. She wants to have that prepped and ready to go just in case. So it's like,
Okay.
like she stumbles in with her shoes off.
Okay. I think you hear just the barest sound of someone shuffling. You think to get out of the way. So the room has a large desk, like a central desk with some paperwork. The walls and a lot of other spaces are adorned with varying levels of intricate numinatria and or religious iconography. This room could appoint a small temple on its own. It is very rich but austere. So it's not lavish. It's just like, I'm only wearing one ring, but this ring could feed a family of 4 for a year. That type of vibe. You also notice that there is a large like writing desk for correspondence off to one side. There are some candelabra, and there is a cabinet opposite that you believe is where someone would have gone. So in terms of a square, in front of you is a desk, cabinet is ahead of you and to the right, writing desk is ahead of you and to the left.
She is going to act like she did not hear the shuffling.
Uh-huh.
And along those lines, she will just stumble over in the desk direction, like, just,
Alta, perhaps you should sit down.
oh, that would be sit down. Yeah, that sounds great. I love this party.
Yes, it is a wonderful party.
She sits down on the writing desk.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm not entirely sure we should be in here.
Yeah, it's a drawing room's a drawing room.
While they're kind of providing a distraction, I'm going to slip in the shadows around the edge of the room so that hopefully people will be focused on them and not notice the, purple shadow.
You're getting a 3-person setup for your prowl.
Yeah. Okay.
Did the rest of us hear the shuffle as well, or was that only Villian?
I think it was just Villian.
Okay.
At the opportunity, she will lean on her, apparently, her maidservant or whatever, and she'll just lean on her and, somebody in the cabinet.
Perhaps you should drink some water. You have had a great deal of wine and aja and other things. Perhaps there are some glasses. I'm going to go over to the cabinet, hand crossbow at the ready, to pull the door open and prepare to shoot whoever is hiding inside there. I do not expect this to go well at all for me.
So you are in a great position. What I want to know at this point is, are you going to try and start taking stuff? Are you going to do something with the closet or cabinet?
I will glance briefly at the others. And actually, because Villian passed it along to me, I will point at the cabinet. Sort of in the, we have worked together before, so kind of asking unspoken, do we just loot the place and hope the person decides not to confront us, or do you want me to try and shoot him down?
I'd say our modus operandi is not actually to kill or do violence when we can help it. So I think keeping guards on the cabinet and then having one person be the looter is probably the way to go.
Is there
Because
a
if they're
lock
going
on
to
the
let us
cabinet?
take stuff and then walk out, then
Yeah, fair. We would prefer that. It's mostly
Yeah.
if they're going to come popping out while our backs are turned, better to take care of them before they can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Kyle,
think keep a guard and then have one person get the money.
Yeah.
So when you start kind of working, I think you're able to be very quiet, but even trained thieves make more than 0 sound. And so after about 30 seconds, you've started to load some things up. You hear a voice from the cabinet saying, well, this is very interesting. You're here right in time. Would you like to make some real money? And one of the doors of the cabinet creaks open, and you should be able to see a person, but you can't. But what you do see is the glint of the tip of a crossbow bolt, but it is not pointed at you. It is just there to let you know that it's there. And the voice says, if we can all play nice, everybody wins. If anyone makes a sound, we all lose.
Winning sounds better than losing, but we are not accustomed to bargaining with a shadow.
I'm going to step out.
I will
And
not
if
shoot
everyone
you yet.
stays calm,
I'm very calm.
We may all see victory tonight. And a kind of a tall figure steps out of the shadows, but their face is still concealed. And those of you who know Numenatria expect that kind of that is obscuring the person's features. They have kind of a rich dark cloak, the crossbow, and you can see the kind of the blacked pommel of a intricate rapier at their hip, just peeking out from the cloak.
I presume this is recognizable to all of us because we're Nadezhrin.
And I think I go, oh, nice rook costume.
I think every kind of turns and stares at you. It's like, it's not a costume.
How many Rosenians do you think would have to slave away for how many years to make a cloak this fine if it were just a costume?
Is that a rhetorical question?
I think it's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
I hope it's a rhetorical question.
I know rhetorical questions. I use them a lot.
You are not what we expected. We thought rival knot. Though a whole knot would not fit into that cabinet.
I assume not. No, if I am a knot, I am a knot of one, but I am the people's thief.
What did you have in mind?
And so the rook kind of moves slowly across and reveals one panel, and then says to Tsapa, at your right, one level up, 3/4 turn to the right, and you see a bit of a statue that you can actually tell rotates, like the base will rotate.
I rotate it 3/4 of a turn to the right.
And you see that the statue pops up, and there's a button. And the rook says, it turns out that the Eret is not just skilled in security, but also paranoid enough to require a 2-person switch.
Ah.
I, on my own, I'm not able to be in 2 places at once as much as the hawks might often believe. Here is the bargain that I offer to you. If you help me get what I want, not only can you take whatever else here that you desire, I will ensure that you see fairly ridiculous wealth come your way over the next moons.
I like fairly ridiculous wealth.
All of these sounds good. What is
It's
the
my
catch?
favorite kind of wealth.
The catch is that this one step may not be enough, but we'll never find out unless we try. On 3, and the rook kind of puts a finger by one of the buttons. 1, 2, 3.
Push.
Both touch. Emily, are you still on the, like, sitting on the writing desk?
It sounds like that'd be funniest. So yes.
Yep. So the
Correct answer.
is the rook, no, I think the rook is playful enough to let you do this because you're not going to hurt yourself. So the desk pops up and then flips. So I think it knocks you forward, but you can catch your feet because you're a skilled thief. You're not actually drunk. It pops out, and then the section that you would just lay paperwork on flips. And there is a keyhole and intricate numinatrian working around it. And the rook says, that's the next step. I was afraid that it would be so. In here should be the house ledger. I think all of you, if you are thieves, and if you are of the city, you know that the houses look to themselves first and everyone else last. There is information here that I want. It may be good, it may be mediocre, but I will have it tonight if I can. What I need you for is that key.
And the key is likely with Eretz Mendes?
I believe it is on the person of the era, the hostess.
Right. Well, Villian,
He's probably in the music room.
you are a pretty party guest now.
Put your shoes back on. I guess I am. Well then.
This is what I say to you. If you can bring back the key and we can open the box, I will be able to give you more. If you can get the key to me at another time, I will not be able to give you as much. But do not throw your lives away for this.
Oh, we are not interested in that, no.
Kind of attached to mine.
Are any of you skilled in dismantling numinatria?
I was about to say, how are you taking care of that Numenat? Cat kind of creeps forward and starts, hands behind his back, and starts looking at it. And then he pulls out a compass, and he pulls out
This has the actual tools.
Pulls out a pair of golden bean calipers, and he starts doing.
I'd like to think that the key will take care of it. It probably won't.
It would make more sense to have 2 parts to the security, yes.
2 switches, 2 layers.
Mike, brief question.
Do you know anything about the window out there?
Oh, I came in the other one.
Which window did you come in by?
2nd floor.
Mike, I was basically wondering in the, making sure we get something out of this job. I have a trained hunting pet, which is a falcon. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance I could find a window that I'm able to open long enough to hand off a bag of lightweight valuables to the falcon so that we have secured some amount of pay from this?
I thought you were going to have the falcon grab the key from down below and bring it up to us.
That, I think, is beyond the scope of what a trained hunting pet can do in this game, though if I'm wrong,
just
let me know.
Just needs to be trained better, doesn't it?
I think there you can find a small window that is absolutely not big enough for a person to get through.
But all I have to do is stick my arm out.
Right.
I really need a ferret now.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can work on setting yourselves up to get kind of a baseline payday.
Like one load worth of something that gets taken out.
So you've got some baseline loot, and I'm going to say there that basically there's the challenge of get the key, and there's the challenge of get past the numinatria. So I will leave it to y'all how you want to address those challenges in what configurations.
Well, I would imagine because Sapo, you're also skilled in, you have skill in numinatria dismantling, right? So we can probably work together for that.
Well,
That
Villian and I go
seems reasonable.
downstairs.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I mutter on and off about how this time I'm really getting myself a trained ferret. It's next on the list.
Emily, does your character have like, or do you have, I guess it would probably fall under finesse is the most likely answer for it, the ability to lift the key off of somebody?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
So we will have exciting times in going to do this. Well, this is what flashbacks and such are for, probably. I think the two of us should go downstairs and go after that key.
I will say, out of character, something that might be useful for Emily,
Emily?
Emily, is that Trinzi Semendis's big vice is music and musical instruments. So
could possibly leverage that.
yeah.
All right, then let's head downstairs while the other two play Numinatrian Operation.
Okay. So I have named the era Semendis Silviat. If that's
Silviat,
okay.
okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is at some point long in the past,
Well, or it could be,
or in the future.
Whoever the lady of the house is.
Right.
Okay.
If you have already established a name, we'll just use that.
The only person we mentioned really is Utrinzi Semendis, and he's not the one we're targeting because we're going after, I think you said the hostess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Silviat Semendis is the one we're going after.
Then never mind about the music.
Right. Downstairs we go.
Okay. So,
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I actually would like to go ahead and have a flashback to the rest of the conversation I had with my friend, where I got information on Silviat.
Excellent.
Also, so are you taking care of the stuff that's going on downstairs first?
Mike, you froze up for a chunk of time, so if you said anything after excellent, that didn't come through.
You
No, how to that you're getting.
You are still
So,
choppy.
Emily, is there something in specific that you would like to get?
There we go.
Yes, I would like to know. Well, along the same lines as the information that Alyssa originally volunteered, what is the sort of thing that would get them away from people? Like, what could I what would interest them enough to get them into conversation and potentially get their attention at the very least, and get them to decide at best?
Yeah. I would say for one stress, I will put one tick on the 4 o'clock, so you kind of start from a better position. For 2 stress, you can start with 2 of 4 clocks, 2 of 4 ticks filled, as you basically have more of a psychological profile.
Okay, I will go ahead and go for the 2 stress.
Okay, so you know that the era does not wear much jewelry or adornment, so there are not that many different places it might be secreted. And you know that she has a soft spot in her heart for kind of the people who are the social, kind of the social flotsam and jetsam of society through their no fault of their own. And you're able to get a description, so you can pick her out of a crowd.
Okay. So before approaching her, I will, since I'm wearing fine clothes and jewelry, I will downgrade the jewelry, take some pieces off to go ahead and sort of match her style.
Cool. So I think you can find her in a smaller side room where there's still, six or 10 people around, but she seems to be taking a little bit of a break from the height of the party. And based on your experience kind of reading people, she's carving out a little bit of privacy and letting on what you take to be some kind of exhaustion. The vibe you get is that because they're not used to hosting these parties, it's taking a fair bit out of her to keep this party going. And so that's what you get for free based on the profile that you've already established.
Okay. That's a hard nut to crack. As she has concern for the Flotsam and Jetsam, has she been connected to actually doing philanthropic work? Like, does she?
Oh no, just nobles.
Just nobles? Okay.
She likes the wallflowers at the dances, not the actual poor people.
Ding, ding, ding,
Perfect.
ding.
Perfect.
Right. Bringing someone into the fold or rescuing a beautiful young flower is worth much more in terms of status than what
Perfect.
poor people. That's not their gig.
Poor people smell bad.
So then she will make her way into the room and, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just trying to find a place away from the party. And she's actually using her normal sort of wallflowerness.
This is not acting. This is you.
Yeah.
Yep. Just, oh, of course, my dear, you're in the right place. And then she kind of she moves, she takes extra throw pillows off of a little seat and turns, and basically servants appear and they make the pillows disappear. And she kind of gently guides you to the seat and says, "We get you. Have you eaten?"
No, and I could definitely use some water. I don't think I've had it. Thank you so much.
Just moments later, there's a glass with water. It's probably cleaner than anybody in your gang is used to drinking, which is probably a bit weird. And she says,
why doesn't it have a flavor?
Yeah, I make it my business to know everyone who's come, but we cast our net very widely. I'm the lady of the house, Arisamendis, and you?
My name's Verlaine, and plausible last name.
Yep.
Now I want to name somebody plausible last name.
And sorry, was Verlaine?
Verlaine, yes.
Well, you are very welcome here. And she would use what, Alta plausible last name?
Yeah, or Alta first name actually.
Alta Verlaine. Yeah, because relative status, right? Have you gotten to speak with anyone at the party? Who did you come with?
I mingled a little.
You have some names that you got,
yeah.
So you could make stuff up if you like.
Yeah, she names a lech, the kind of person who would bring somebody to the party and leave with somebody else. And
yep.
Somebody from House Stockwiam who we keep naming.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
They're just, the party house.
But it doesn't matter. So that is Pavlin Extoquium, who is outwardly pious, or another name if we need to not have a Pavlin.
Let's say Bonavito Extoquium, just because Pavlin's a character in the book, and so that's distracting.
Okay. Yep, no worries. Bonavito Extoquium, who is outwardly pious, but is kind of just a bully. And he preys on the same type of young nobles that that Era looks out for. So you can line that up.
Excellent. I came here with Bonavito, but he seems to have become distracted.
Oh, my dear. Well, you have found a place to sit. You have some water. I'll make sure that someone comes by with food. Who else would you like to speak with? Is there anyone that you were hoping to meet? Or do you have hobbies that you might want to discuss with others here? I'd like to make sure that you're taken care of, but I won't be able to stay very long.
Oh, I certainly appreciate it. Actually, I do have a question. Does this smell like trance powder?
Mwah. Okay. So I think you're in a smaller room. There are not a ton of people around, but there's still a bunch of people around.
Oh, there are other people in the room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are some other people in the room.
Damn.
So that, as established, that would
Can
be.
we flashback or do something to change that, because it was such a beautiful moment?
Yeah, I have
was.
a way that might help make this work. If I can
Yeah.
insert a flashback here, which is that when I talked to Sonechka about, hey, I'd like to get in on we're going to bill them for as much as we can, I actually made a deal with her that she can keep my share of the pay in exchange for causing some kind of distraction when I throw her a signal.
Okay.
And so then what I would like to do is have that be the moment that I realize, since I've worked with, Villian before, that something's about to happen, and I see Sonechka and I'm like, no! In whatever my much more subtle than that signal way is, to cause everyone in the room to be looking somewhere else when Sylvia suddenly goes, no.
Okay. So I think for two stress, you can make this be just risky and not desperate. As there is still risk of you try to transpowder a head of a major house, and it doesn't go well.
Yes.
And I would also like to do the teamwork thing. I will take one more stress to give Emily one additional die.
Yep. Okay, so what action are you using for deploying the transpowder?
Since I'm doing it from surprise, from like our having a sort of intimate conversation moment, is there any chance I can get away with consort?
Yeah, because I think there it's you make the moment, and I would say because you have cloak and dagger, I'm also going to improve your effect because it's a thing about when you seize initiative.
That's right. I have the surprise.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch of that thing, but I think it makes sense here in that cloak and dagger also represents you're able to exploit that the time when you make the hard move, you're good at making the hard move. So normally this would have limited effect because it's hard to just straight up knock out somebody with transpowder if they are like of sturdy constitution or something. I think the Semendis generally are fairly like stoic and sober, so they're very healthy people, and they're noble, so they're blah 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 blah. So you would have limited effect, but you're going to get increased effect because of the ambush part of cloak and dagger.
Just to be clear, am I burning another bandolier here?
No.
Okay.
No, this is
Okay.
something that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
cool.
Villian has transpowder on her
Yep.
sheet, so
Cool.
yeah, you can do that with consort. If Marie is taking a stress to assist, then you'll get a bonus die there.
Awesome. So the position is
this is going to it's risky rather than desperate.
okay.
Yeah.
You have a distraction
Because there is a distraction. A whole carafe of wine just got spilled on somebody who did not take it well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's spill and breakage of several things, and a servant cried out. So it's a very good distraction.
Okay. So standard effect and one bonus die.
Yes.
Awesome. Uh, I really don't want this to go wrong, so I do have to ask, what does the devil's bargain look like?
She will remember your face even after she wakes up. She may not remember that you did this to her, but your face will be known to her.
Then I will take the devil's bargain, because
Okay.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Eris Amendus will remember this. ... Only a little.
Vaguely.
Yep.
She's gonna go
so yeah.
talk to that Extocrium guy and be like, that person you brought.
Okay.
And you got a 6.
You got a 6 straight off. So I think this is maybe the way that is represented is you've been able to pull this move off before on people, and you set the groundwork. You find the right rhythm in her breathing, even so you catch her as she's inhaling.
Yeah, it's why I asked why I asked a goofy question, because she's like,
yeah. And so you have enough of a distraction. You're not getting a consequence, so you're able to kind of render her unconscious and get her onto that seat if you like. And you have,
okay.
I think, a couple of moments of chaos.
Okay, well then I will bring her down onto the seat with me and try to get that key.
Yeah, frisk her. Can we both frisk her under the guise of like, oh, Era, are you all right?
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is controlled, and you only need standard effect, which you will have to start.
Okay. I think frisking her for me, like, since we're doing this stealthily, can I argue for that being prowl?
Yeah, I think finesse or prowl are most likely to have the greatest effect here.
All right. And no bonus dice or anything, I don't think.
And I will spend instead of rolling myself, I'll spend a stress to assist you.
Okay.
Actually, okay. So I get 1 bonus die. I don't know if I'm bending this past what it's intended to be, but the scout thing again. So it says like when you hide in a prepared position or use camouflage, you get +1d rolls to avoid a detection. I'm trying to stealthily frisk her. Does that fall under it, or?
I'll allow that here.
Cool.
I'm interpreting things generously for one shot.
Yeah, fair. Okay, then I roll. Oh, fuck.
Okay, so this is only a controlled, this is a controlled position because you created a big distraction. I think the consequence is just like this approach is going to take more time, and you're going to have to try again at a risky position as people's attention is normalizing.
Okay. Then, all right, so risky, standard.
Yep, you'll get to keep the bonus dice that you already had.
Cool.
Basically, the consequence is you have to do double or nothing.
Yeah, got it. Unless, Emily, do you have a suggestion for a better thing, or?
No.
Actually, well, okay, let me go ahead and roll this, and then I have a fallback if this fails again.
Okay.
Oh my god, really?
Oh no.
Okay, so I've got that Numinatrian luck charm. I can't remember what benefit you said I could get from it. I don't think it was a reroll now that I think about it.
It's not a reroll, but it would give you a +1d on resist. So you could just, at this point, I will let you, if you resist the consequence of people noticing, the fact that you've made 2 full rolls, you'll just be able to find it.
Okay.
But you will have to roll resistance.
Then I would like to resist. Does it need to be resistance from the same category as what I was doing, or can it be a different one?
Just tell me how it's whatever category you want to use.
Okay, so I think this makes sense with insight because I know where people are. I know the distraction that's been going on. And so it's the making sure that I am keeping myself between what they can see and what I'm doing, sort of covering that way.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and roll and you'll get 1 bonus die. So when you click the
insight,
action to resist, you should give yourself 1 bonus die.
Okay. And I take only 1 stress then.
Okay. So yeah,
which is good because I'm getting very stressed.
you're able to cover it long enough, you realize that it is in between her belt and a pouch. So that's why, like, it's so far down on the list of places to frisk. That's why
we check all the obvious places. Shit, it's not there. We check the unobvious places. Where the hell do you have it? Up your ass?
Right. So you are able to get it, and because you resist the consequence, I will let you kind of slip away before Lady Semendis kind of comes to her senses.
Evrika is showing a little bit of white around the eyes there, of like.
Yep. So some white knuckling downstairs. Let's jump back upstairs. Y'all will get a little bit of time to work the Numenatria before the other group comes back because of how time works. So yeah, give me a little bit of a description of how y'all are approaching cracking this Numenatrian ward.
So because I actually spent some time checking out the window outside, is it possible for me to say that this is also a linked kind of alarm thing where one person has to undo something on the window outside and one person has to do the thing on the desk, and they have to do it in a coordinated kind of a way?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right.
All right.
The way that,
and do we get extra dice for that being more complicated?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just give a little bit of description and then let y'all roll with it. As you study this more and then as you identify the other things, you actually find 11 little sections. And with some study and some conferring, you come to understand that it's 10 for the Numenat, 0 through 10, and the last one is enter, and that's the thing that's weird, because normally in something like this, you would figure out the order of dismantling them based on a code or based on the type of enchantment that it is. The House Semendis Numenatrian who did this has sufficient skill to incorporate basically they're in base 11 instead of base 10. And so like that's part of why, like, it's really complicated. It's going to take some doing and some studying to figure out like what order to undo them based on how you're understanding things like that. So this is me signaling this is a very high tier challenge, but I believe you have an ability that lets you ignore tier.
I do.
So yeah, if you and Kyle would like to collaborate on your approach for whatever this first move is.
Desk or window?
I'll go window.
You're probably better with glass. I would probably break it.
I probably will break it too. It's just a matter of control.
But you'll do it more elegantly. You do things like that elegantly.
I try to.
You'll like melt it or something.
I might.
Let me gouge some gouges into this desk.
Okay. So what action are y'all rolling here?
So I am going to, is this Tinker?
Tinker, I think, would have good effect.
Yeah.
Would study or tinker be the better approach for this? They're mechanically almost identical for me. Yeah.
You can use either. This is going to be a 4 clock, so you need basically 4 ticks worth of success to complete it.
Okay.
A success with a standard effect will give you 2 ticks. Success with great would give you 3. Success with limited effect would give you 1. So this is probably going to take 2 rolls, unless you can arrange something that will let you get not just great effect, but extreme effect, which is 5 ticks. So that can be just 2 rolls. You do a study and then you do a tinker.
I think I'm going to approach it with a study and then a tinker on my side at the very least.
Okay. Is the study going to be a group action, or are you doing it on your own?
What do you say, Alyssa?
I can help. I don't have any things in study though, so I can't help very much.
So you could instead just spend 1 stress to assist the study.
I will spend a stress to assist the study.
Okay. So then, Kyle, because you're using study, this is going to be controlled standard.
Controlled standard. Okay. Sounds good. Then I'm going to go that route. So controlled, standard, and I get 1 bonus dice from Cat's assistance.
Correct.
And I cannot get my own assistant or my own effort.
You can push yourself by taking 2 stress to get +1 die or increased effect.
I think I'm going to go with, I'm not going to push myself on this because I think that it makes more sense thematically for it to happen on the actual Tinker.
Sure.
So,
do you have any gear that would put you in a better position with your study?
I have arcane implements, which would probably help me actually more with the Tinker end of things.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to have gear for the Tinker. Just checking on the study. But yeah, you can make a controlled standard study with the bonus from the assist, and you can push yourself if you like.
I think I will not push on this one then.
Okay. So yeah. 5, 6, and a 2. Great. So you're able to kind of read, and you and Kat can kind of talk through your best theory about how you believe the Numenat is assembled, and you believe that this is something where you're going to have to basically you're going to have to disable them in a specific order that is the same as the order that you would be basically giving the pass key. So you can either try to do a thing that will let you activate it normally, or do something to kind of dismantle the ward. So it's like, are you using it to punch the keys in right, or are you going to cut the wires in the right order, or something else in terms of overcoming the Numenat entirely?
Well, Sapo's approach would be to cut the wires. What is Cat's approach in this case?
So Cat is actually going to do a 2-step system using his Inscriptor's Kit, which is my replacement thing for fine lock picks, and his Fistful of Inscriptions, which is my description for, I think you said I had like a Numenat charm or something like that. And what he's going to do is he's going to tinker to basically bypass the steps of the Numenat, like basically complete them, as Mike was saying. But then he's actually going to use finesse, because every Numenat is powered by a focus. And what he's going to do is he's going to do the Indiana Jones golden idol thing of he's going to replace the focus that's in it with a different focus that will give him and Sapo more control to be able to break the 2 things at the same time more easily.
Okay. And
so yeah, he's going to bypass the Numenat and then replace the focus with his finesse.
Cool. And you have the charm, are you using any other tools?
So I'm using the Inscriptor's Kit for the Tinker bypassing roll, and I'm using the Fistful of Inscriptions for the finesse to replace the focus with a different focus that is more amiable to our purposes.
Okay. Which of those parts do you think is riskier?
Definitely the I want to say Tinker because my role is better for that, but I think it would actually be the finesse, just because I know about Numenatria.
Okay.
Damn it, why did we invent our rules in a way that made that a problem?
I think
it's definitely the Tinker's going to be easier.
I think you'll be at a controlled position for the Tinker, and then if you succeed without consequence, you'll be just at a risky position with the finesse.
All right. And 2, 3, 4. I should not push on both of those. I'm going to not push on the Tinker.
I will go ahead and burn a stress to assist with the Tinker.
Yeah, you could also do the Tinker as a group action. 2 people can be a group.
Okay. Oh, and also these are both infiltrator things, I assume, so I'm not affected by quality or tier when I bypass security measures.
Yeah, that's because you have that move, you can basically make you're able to make this roll. Without infiltrator, you would start at 0 effect.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you said this is controlled for the Tinker roll.
Should we do group action?
Yes, if you can help me out, help me out.
Yeah, so just one of you will be leading, and all that means is that you take stress for each character that doesn't get a 4 or above.
Okay, so I will be leading.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
So yeah.
So position is controlled. Effect for Tinker is
standard.
Standard.
So all the stuff that you have will get you up to standard.
And then the bonus dice would be, do I get one for the Inscriptor's Kit? I'm not quite certain how the items work.
Yeah, so I'm a little leery about giving you great effect when the gap in tier and like other things is so high.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that having that gear will also inform the consequences, but it's not going to give you more dice. So you could each individually push to get a bonus die. Either of you could ask for a Devil's Bargain die. And basically, because it's a group action, you're just looking for a 6 or 2 6s across both of your dice.
I think I'm good for this one. I think if I'm pushing, I'm going to be doing it on the finesse. So
Okay, and the fine tinkering tools you said would basically just be informing the consequence.
Yeah,
not adding dice. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm letting the infiltrator move apply to 2 people. I'm kind of letting that be. It's covering a variety of sins.
Understood. All right.
And I am tinkering.
And I am pushing myself.
Okay, so there's 1 6, and there's 2 6s.
Ooh, hey.
So because you all are a synchronized team, you are able to manipulate things to the point where the finesse, you still have to do the finesse in fiction, but I'm not going to make you roll. You set things up so that we zoom in and slow down as you replace one focus after another. And the music is like pizzicato, and it's speeding up as you're going. And there's a crash at one moment, but you're able, like, you're actually, maybe you do a jeweler's thing where you're bracing your hand. And so even reacting just a tiny bit to the crash, it would have thrown something off, but you set yourself up for success. And then the 2 of you combined are able to replace the foci. And you are confident that that part of the lock is taken care of.
By our powers combined. I start taking notes because I'm definitely trying to replicate this thing.
Yep. And I think the rook who had been at the door listening looks over, and
Numinat's down.
You see a slight nod, which you take as a form of appreciation. And
hey, Sapo, didn't you meet him once?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything.
About, like with the bunny rabbit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you saved Sapo's rabbit's life. You saved Bun Bun's life.
So do y'all think that the rook would remember
yeah, I think so.
a small incident like that?
He saved a stuffed bunny's life.
I mean, that's epic, man.
That was Bun Bun, yes?
Oh my God, he remembers.
Is Bun Bun still with you, serving loyally?
He's back home right now. He's a little bit raggedy, but I've got Bon the Fourth here. Put him back in my little pouch.
As fine a guardian as one could hope for. Let us pray that we don't have to do surgery of that level anytime tonight.
No, sir.
And I think after that, the others are able to sneak upstairs. We get another sequence of Evrika kind of doing cool stealthy stuff and kind of leading the 2 of you past the guard that is still prowling the halls.
All right, the one that we didn't knock out.
Right.
And there, the guard is circulating, but you're able to get by. And so then the Numinatrian section is down. You have the key. The rook kind of extends a friendly hand asking, I'd like to do the honors if that's all right.
Hand the key over.
The rook kind of raises the key to their mouth, looks up in some sort of gesture that you take possibly as prayer, leans over, leans in.
We're all kind of leading in on either
And-
side.
None of us are breathing.
And then the rook kind of pulls the wooden frame down, revealing a very worn, very ancient ledger, which picks out, puts the key aside, and starts filing through, and says, and turns around and goes tap, tap, and another drawer opens, revealing fancier loot. And says, you should help yourselves to that. This is what I
Yes.
asked for. You've done everything I wanted and more. You are a credit to the
Thieves
underworld
everywhere?
of the city. I would say thieves everywhere. There are thieves somewhere who don't know me, which seems strange, but has to be true. It's a large world. And you are a credit to them yet. Where shall I deliver my further appreciation in the days and weeks to come?
The Laughing Crow, I suppose, on the old island. Lacewater.
And I will leave something there with my appreciation in case you ever find yourselves as fellow members of the city's underworld in desperate need. Now, I hope that you're as good at getting out as you were at getting in. And the rook has kind of taken probably like 10 or 11 pieces of paper out of the ledger and is, if it's fictionally okay, I think just making rubbings of them and like taking some notes with a quick pen and has cut himself a cache of secrets and says, I will leave you. And if our paths cross again, may it be as mutually beneficial as this was tonight.
Shoveling loot into the bag, nodding.
Yep.
I have a ferret
I
then.
think the rook. A ferret.
I'll name him after
Just make
you.
sure that they're well trained.
Yes.
I think they would not be the first. And I think the rook slips out or like kind of gives what a noble would take as a slight nod, and then like kind of throws a way more commoner like finger guns kind of thing.
Finger crossbows.
The rook is the people's champion rather than noble, and
Yeah.
And slips out the door, and it's like he was never there. So yeah, just for y'all, describe how you are getting out. You don't have to roll. Just let me know what your exit plan was.
Since I had this when I was first thinking that it might be related to us getting in there, I'm going to propose that we know some of the skiffers who, their job is to kind of like bring people to and from the party via the water. And so we've got a prearranged deal with one of them that we sneak out via some of those tunnels you said that we know about, and we get picked up by Yurish and rowed across to the old island
Makes sense to
Okay,
me.
cool.
Yeah.
with our well-gotten gains.
I think that the access to the tunnels might require a little bit more acid and or a hacksaw, but
Hacksaw sounds good, yeah.
Cat is the last to leave because he's kind of like cleaning up the site as much as possible so that it's a little bit less clear what might have happened.
Good
But
call.
also, pocketing a couple completely useless and with little to no value at all tchotchkes that he sees along the way that he's like, ooh, that looks cool. Ooh, that looks cool.
was gonna say, if we're limited in what we can take by load, I have 3 points of load worth of loot I can run out with.
Same.
All right, so 3, 6. You already
Two.
got the one on the birds. That's 7, 8, 9.
How much can you carry, Alyss?
Oh, I mean, I only used my fine imbued shadow cloak. Everything else was in italics. So
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. 4.
Oh, okay. So we're
So-
filthy rich.
Yeah, I would say for this, you get load equal, like you get coin equal to that equivalent load. So over 10 coin for 1 score is fairly ludicrous, which is exactly what
I'm
I
going to
was promising.
abandon one of the coin that I could take in favor of the useless trinkets and junk that I pick up along the way.
So 10 plus coin, a major score, impressive loot. I think you got over 10, and this will, it will set your knot up for bigger and better things. This
is when we move to the upper
We
bank.
should get a new hideout.
Yeah, something better than the Laughing
the
Crow.
The Quaratium actually has a really, really nice building in Eastbridge.
Yes, that is the one where Tsapo lived, was it not?
Yes. And
All right, so that is a score of Blades in the Dark in the city of Nadezhra from the Mask of Mirrors in the Rook and Rose series. So thank you all for being fabulous players, and thanks to everybody for watching, for joining us. Like, I would have done this just privately because I love all these people. They're wonderful and fun to game with, but it's even more fun to be able to share that hijinks with all of you. I have read The Mask of Mirrors. I think it's very good. I think specifically if you like the kind of heist fantasy from something like the Lies of Laclamora, like the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, you should enjoy this. If you like stuff like Leverage, especially like the Sophie Devereaux part where it's like lots of deep role play and character stuff. I'm going to specifically call out the excellence of the description of textiles and costuming.
That's all Alyss.
In the book. So big hat tip to Alyss for those. I know just enough about tailoring and clothes to know that you displayed way more knowledge and a lot of attention to detail that is clearly described enough for me to be able to appreciate, not knowing all that much. And props to probably Marie on good, easily understandable fight scene and fencing descriptions.
definitely Marie.
I should send you, or actually, no, we've posted it now. We've got a scene posted on the website that was more fencing, which ended up being cut from the book. So you would probably enjoy that part, Mike.
Never cut the extra fencing scenes. It's fine to cut out the extra fencing scenes. Greg will be returning soon to be able to give us our outro. But first, I would love to ask all of the players to remind folks who are watching who you are and any shout out that you might want to give of a project of yours or something else that you would like to spotlight that you're excited about.
I mean,
I'll go ahead and say as Mr. Marie Brennan that I am a big fan of her work. But no, I'm Kyle Niedzwicki. I played Sapo the Stop, the leech in the group, and I had a great time. Thank you.
All right. In whatever order.
Okay, I'm Marie. I've got this thing called Rook and Rose. You should check it out. But I do also have some other stuff. My most recent book is The Night Parade of 100 Demons. So if there are any L5R fans in the audience, or just people who like the idea of a novel that's based on more yokai from Japanese folklore that you can shake a stick at, and also a queer romance, then you might want to check that one out.
Cool.
And I'm Alyss Helms, and ditto Rook and Rose trilogy, Mask of Mirrors, and the second book, The Liar's Knot, is coming out in November. So you don't even actually have to wait that long for people who are like, I hate starting series when I don't know if it's going to finish or not. Totally understand. We got you covered.
First one is pretty big through, and then you can pre-order the next one.
And I will say the oyster crackers appear in the second book, though not these specific characters.
Yeah.
And my
Emily?
name is Emily, and I don't have any major ongoing projects right now, other than I work with the XRSI, the XR Safety Initiative, which is a privacy nonprofit that works with virtual reality. And I'm the Emily Dare on Twitter.
Yep,
Awesome.
we got the Twitter links dropped into the chat on
Awesome.
Twitch, I saw.
Very cool. Thank you. And again, I'm Mike Underwood. I write as Michael R. Underwood. I have a found family space opera called Annihilation Aria that came out last year. And just this week for patrons, I have released the next Genrenauts novella, which has been a couple years coming because I got very busy and the world was hard. That is called The Wasteland War. It is Mad Maxy / Apocalypse Worldy post-apocalypse. And it will be on retailers in the next couple of weeks. So look for that. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Mike R. Underwood, and you can support Speculate, which umbrella actual play group that this is a part of. We have a show called The Case of the Cindered Seal, which is also Blades in the Dark, GM'd by Brandon O'Brien, one of our co-hosts. And I am GMing Speculate's Rebel Crown series, which is video only, that will have our second episode sometime in March. So keep your eyes peeled to speculatesf.com and at speculatesf on Twitter for more announcements there. And now I am going to toss to Greg.
I am here and ready to be tossed to. Thanks everyone. This was a lot of fun, and I was glad that we got to have some folks that have not been on the channel yet. So I was glad to see everyone there, and yeah, everyone. It's strange. Everyone seemed really familiar with this world. You know, it seemed that everyone was having no problems. You know, just connecting with it. It's amazing familiarity. No, but I really enjoyed seeing the game played and enjoyed having all the players with us. And thank you to chat as well. So I will thank again all of the players, and I will thank my co-host and partner in crime, in this case with Blades in the Dark, literally, Mike Underwood, and of course Brandon O'Brien, who I think was in chat but is not at the moment, but who is our co-host along with the two of us. And we will see all of the players down the road, and we will see Mike down the road as well. And I'm going to let those folks go and wrap up here. So thank you so much, everyone, to Emily, to Marie, to Kyle, to Elise, to Michael, and thanks all. And we will see you all very soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
For now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. And I want to thank the Speculate listeners as always for checking us out and for being a part of this. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, I love doing stuff like this and having a chance to actually host really interesting work. And of course, Blades in the Dark we're already familiar with. And so it was all good. So I'm glad that we had a chance to do this on a Sunday as I transition over. I was glad that we had a chance to do this on a Sunday and to get a little bit of work done. I was doing some work while this was happening, but I was glad that we got a chance to actually feature some of this as we were going through it. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. And if so, I hope you will consider, again, following us on Speculate and supporting the Speculate Patreon. We would love to be able to do more of these sorts of things. And the only way to manage that is if we can continue to get the wonderful support that we've gotten and to broaden that support over time. So please consider doing that and checking us out as always at www.speculatesf.com. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to the Speculate listeners. And now I'm going to speak just to my Twitch audience and to the wonderful Arvanauts. This is the last stream of February, so we are done with February as of today. Tomorrow is March 1st, and we will have our first stream on Tuesday, starting out with our usual assortment of shows. I can't announce what specifically I'm doing yet because I don't know. I've been running around doing a bunch of stuff today, and so I'm only just getting the schedule up and running for March, so I should have more details available tomorrow. I'll have a tentative schedule of some sort up tomorrow, and then you'll be able to see what that's like. As I mentioned before, March is going to be really, really busy for me. I got a bunch going on, including I'm getting vaccinated next week. I'm moving in about 2.5 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks, actually. I got the Gray Shade Kickstarter that is launching in about 2.5 weeks. So I got a lot of stuff going on in March. March is going to be busy, but I hope that everyone will come along for the ride because I think it's going to be a fun sort of busy, right? An enjoyable sort of busy. So that's what I'm looking forward to do. It's going to be a great time, and I hope you folks will come along for the ride. In the meantime, though, I want to thank all of the wonderful people who made this an awesome stream tonight and remind you all about ways to support us here. Please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. Discord is !ARV Twitter is !ARV tweets. Website for all of that is arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, the shop, the merchandise area is !ARV shop, where you can get stuff from some of our other campaigns that we run here on the channel. !ARV Treon is that Patreon sitting right there at the bottom of the video window. That is basically the big sort of, we have a Speculate Patreon, which I want you to focus on, but the channel Patreon is that way, and that also makes a big difference in terms of how the channel is able to run, so that is always appreciated. And then, of course, we've got the sub button allowing you to subscribe to us here on Twitch, and that is also appreciated. Custom sub badges and emotes and all that kind of good stuff. Finally, of course, we have the publishing stuff. Icarus is my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. More details about Athos Arts stuff coming soon. Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. 5e Adventure and Sourcebook, which is from Alligator Rally, available already in digital form, coming out in print just as soon as it gets off the U.S. Customs docks, where it has been for many weeks. But soon, it will be released, and then we'll be able to get it out to all of the lovely Kickstarter backers and to those who are interested in picking it up for the first time. In the meantime, it is available in that digital form on DriveThruRPG. And Grayshade KS, as I said, going to be launching next month. March 16th is our target date for that at the moment. And of course, as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of protecting Black lives. There is information about resources and things like that. And Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when they need help and to reach out to others when you need help as well. Hey, what's up, Sticker Glue? Yeah, sorry, we're just wrapping up, actually. We've been up running for just about 3 hours, so you'll have to pick up the VOD, I'm afraid. Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. I hope I'm sorry you missed it, but you'll be able to see the VOD. So that's the deal with that. And the last thing I just want to mention quickly is Speculate. Again, if you enjoyed this tonight and you are a viewer of mine, a regular, and you're like, wow, that was pretty cool. I wonder if there's other audio stuff. There is, and it's not stuff which is just found on my Twitch channel. It is stuff which also is behind the scenes stuff. The Session 0 for Rebel Crown, which Mike mentioned just as he was wrapping up, that is something which is available only to our Patreon subscribers. We have other special episodes, bonus episodes that we do periodically, which is just to Patreon folks. So not only are you supporting the show, but you can also get different content that wouldn't be available. And so that would be really appreciated also. Otherwise, that I think is going to do it for us for today. We're not going to do a raid today because, again, it's Sunday. I don't usually stream on this time, so we will come back strong in March. But I do, as always, want to thank the lovely people who made this a great show. Thank you to my wonderful mods. Triffity Mats was actually carrying the load today. So thank you, Triffit, so much for being here and being willing to moderate, as always. Much, much appreciated. Also, thank you to my subscribers, to Triffity Mats, to Echo Alphex5, and to Sticker Glue. Thank you so much, as always, to the wonderful people who are willing to support us that way, and the Patreon supporters also. Thank you also to Aiden, to Carbo, to Casino, to Commander Root, Amico, Aranth, Feet, Gorgar. Thank you to Italiara, Live Suing, Michelor. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel, the Nonstop, to Paul's, the Swan Tower, Tontoms, Tree of Ghosts, Hugh Christensen, V&K, and Virgo Praz. And a special thanks today to all of the 4 players who did a wonderful job, and of course to GM Mike Underwood for doing a great job in bringing us through this one shot of Blades in the Dark. Otherwise, I'm going to see you folks within 2 days. I'll be back on Tuesday at noon Eastern with something cool. I'll have a tentative schedule up tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to, tomorrow afternoon, let's say, so you'll be able to see what's happening on Tuesday, and then continuing for the rest of the month. It's going to be a busy month, but a really fun one, and so I hope you will join us for all of that. That, however, is going to do it for February. Thank you to everybody here, and much love to all you wonderful people. I will see you folks very soon. In the meantime, everyone be good to each other. Have a good night.